Boy, oh boy, party people. It is the green room. We are here.
Yeah.
Everything ready behind the scenes. I messed with the... Here's the thing. If things sound better, I hope they do. Because every time I go back and I take a sample of our old material, I go, it's so soft. It's so quiet. So I messed with some dials and some levers and some buttons and some sliders and some graphical interfaces. And I hope we've got something that sounds a little better. Or at least louder. Oh boy. So yeah, I get I'll save the introduction for everything out of the way, but we're going to do a middle chunk cuz it's nice and we can fit rapport building in, but when it's nice. Thank you, Dee, for the confirmation. But I don't know. It's weird. It's crazy how, or at least all the footage I watch, I find there's a trend that most of it hovers around the hour and a half hour marks. Very few are like an hour and 22 minutes. Like it's either like 57 minutes or an hour and 2 minutes. There's like with a spit shot of the half an hour mark. And I'm wondering if maybe that's gold bricking. What up, Kayla? Welcome.
Hey.
I'm wondering if that's gold bricking after a fashion, because if you're grilling somebody, you've got all you need and you think you can get more, maybe you'll round out that next hour if you've only pushed 15 minutes into that one because you're getting golden time. Or like you say, okay, if I cut this now, I'll need a half an hour to fill out X amount of paper forms for yada, yada, yada. So maybe that's where the half hour mark comes in. People love to compartmentalize and they love patterns. So I think we get these like well-rounded chunks, probably out of just human habit. There's one out there that is my favorite, and the uncut is 5 hours. And if you cut out the chunks where they go to the bathroom or go get smokes or go get food or let him eat by himself, it's 3 hours.
Yeah.
And it's a horrible case, but the kid involved, I don't know, he speaks to me as like just someone like that I don't know. We're all familiar with human archetypes. He's an archetype that's familiar and comforting to me, even though I don't ever want this type of person as a long-term friend. They're fun to come into contact with every once in a while. Like, you know, someone who's really rough around the edges and they keep it together for a little while, and that's when you can hang around, but you know eventually they're going to snap and get an extreme DUI or do some domestic thing. Like, I worked with a million of those dudes in construction work.
Hey, Tony.
What's up, Tony? Where I had no problem hanging out with them, like, on the job site, shooting the shit, maybe going to a bar or something afterwards. But, like, you know, civilian time I would not share with them.
Yeah. I've had coworkers like that. You can hang out with them, like, you know, if you're going out to, like, I did it when we celebrated a whole state went through, you know, at our old work. Like, I could go there and hang out with them at a bar. Once they get plastered, then I leave.
I forget even why we were bringing this up, but
interrogations about how, like, you can get rapport building about an hour or so in, and
oh well, yeah, whatever. So, but that's it. It, like, I don't know. The rapport building. So this is going to be another really circular interrogation. Spoiler alert! Like, Fidel Lopez and please, I beg your pardon in advance. I will probably call him Fidel Castro and Castro Lopez probably a zillion times, so I'm sorry. It's just going to happen. But he's going to stick to this I don't remember bullshit, and as the details unfold, you'll go, that seems less plausible by the second.
So I guess we won't get into it until we start.
I'll summarize once we get started, but
I
I'm
have
just
questions.
sort of letting you know what's happening beforehand.
Yeah, because I don't know anything about this guy.
I'll provide every bit of context you need up until this point, thumbnail sketch version, because we're like every interrogation should be, if it's framed properly, a 3-act structure where the first third is rapport building and you get the first story that's full of lies.
Yeah.
Then you get the middle chunk where it's a little bit of a back and forth where the detectives sort of feed them a little bit of the information that they have. We get a change here and a change there. And again, ideally, by the third act, that is when we get to the crescendo. We reach the all is lost moment for the suspect, and they crack.
Yeah.
So what we're coming into is right after the first act. Essentially, he's going to be taking a cigarette break. It was either right before or right after this. We're going to see it if it does happen. That's when shit starts to go. And there's other true crime channels that bring this up too. I just watched one. He was either Red Tree True Crime or Morbid Curiosity or one of those dudes. And he says that, cigarettes should be standard issue for interrogators. Like, I've talked about things that I think every interrogator should have, and he brings up a good point with that. It's cigarettes. Every fucking criminal smokes, and if they don't, like 10 out of 10 will ask for a cigarette to fucking get out of an interrogation room.
Yeah.
But whatever, that's neither here nor there. Let's go ahead and let's get the party started.
Dog. Cat. Mouse. Turtle.
You're listening to FFOP Radio.
Reach the
Hey everybody, and welcome to the show. My name is Dave, and this is a Friday Night Live sort of thing. We're going to be doing the Fidel Castro. I did it. There you go. We're doing the Fidel Castro interrogation. You believe that shit? Fidel Lopez.
Hey, Matt.
What's up, Matt? Keep on rocking in the free world. I fucking love that shit. So we're going over Fidel Lopez. His crimes. So, a little background on him. Oh, first of all, let me introduce Krista. She's off camera but filling the producer role.
Yes, I'm here.
It's Lingo Friday. I hope you're wearing your birds. I am enjoying a lovely peach cobbler homebrew. It's a mead. It is maybe my favorite. Krista's got a little something over there. You can't see it, so it's unimportant. I chose the prettiest one to be on camera.
Yeah, I have the not so pretty one.
Sometimes they come out cloudy. Moral of the story is, here's the thing. So Fidel Lopez is a Cuban dude. This takes place in Florida. I'm pretty sure we'll get into it. He'll say all these things that if I get them wrong, they come out eventually in the interrogation. But dude is 24. He's got a couple kids of his own. He is a construction worker of some kind. He has been at this point with the woman, his girlfriend, for just about a year. They've had some rough times. They just moved into their new apartment. They don't even have furniture yet. So, setting the scene, his story, the first story that he tells it is obviously bullshit because it's nothing but an omission, like lies of omission.
Mm-hmm.
So the story is like they were at an Applebee's. They both had 1.5 margaritas, right? So they go to a liquor store on the way home, get some limes, salt, and tequila. I believe they get 1,800. They are doing shots with all the accoutrement on cardboard boxes because there's no furniture there yet. in their apartment listening to music on their phone. Now, the story that Fidel gives, right, is this. They got blackout drunk. They ended up having sex in the closet. She says her ex-husband's name 2 times at certain points during the act. She also makes 2 requests that he's going to bring up a zillion times, but I'm going to soften the blow for you. Cheers, everybody. The story, according to Fidel, is his girlfriend asked for a beer bottle to be inserted inside of her and his entire arm up to the elbow. And the detective will bring this up, but I feel like maybe there should be a little unpacking there too, because he brings it up a little earlier. I don't think he's going to say it until he brings it up as a reference later. But he's going to say, the detective asks Fidel, he says, what's the craziest thing you did before tonight? P.S. Tonight being the night you murdered your girlfriend, and the details I'll get into in a second. What's the craziest thing you've ever done with her? And he's like, 69? And I go, okay, great.
That is a...
So we go a big jump. So
unpacking her.
He calls 911. He's like, oh my God, baby, oh my Jesus. Which is like, I recommend you listen to the phone, the 911 call. It's out there everywhere. It's fucking crazy, because when we get to the timeline of events, the fact that he can muster up so much bullshit, or perhaps he was so drunk that he went out to smoke a cigarette after washing all the blood off his hands, forgot what had happened, or maybe he didn't realize how serious it was. It doesn't matter. But he's like, oh my God, baby. My girlfriend's in the bathroom, and it's kind of like he's a shitty caller, and the 911 operator is like trying their best, but his accent's super thick, and yada, yada, yada. Moral of the story is, the mechanics we'll get into later, but at the scene of the crime, so to speak, there's Fidel. Everything in the apartment that was in the apartment was broken. He might have didn't have much, but doors, walls, shit is just busted.
Cardboard box.
The cardboard box was intact, because there are crime scene photos where the tequila and the limes and the salt and shit are still there.
Well, that's good.
So he's like punching walls and doors and shit. And they're in the closet, and so the detectives, when they come up on the scene, see that all this broken shit. There's Fidel, and there is his girlfriend in the bathroom. Now, later they find a pile of clothes, which when they lift up is her guts under. All of her guts are under this pile of clothes. So he removed them from her somehow. We'll get into it. Or rather, they will get into it. But they didn't just fall out. The detectives will say that. So let's get everything rolling here. We're about 52 minutes into this. Like I said, we're past the rapport building. You'll maybe see here it says the disturbing truth on there. That's not actually where I'm getting it. This is from the Law and Crime Network. So they stole it from them, who I'm now stealing it from. Thank you, Law and Crime, and Disturbing Truth by proxy. So again, there's all the setting. Does anybody need any more clarification before we get rolling? Because we're going to be seeing a lot of holding patterns, and if there's something else, it was definitely more of a spill. Like, you could spill this, right? You knock it over and you go, oh, I spilled it. Like when you have to reach up inside of something and grab it and pull it out like you're pulling like unripe bananas out of a tree, essentially.
Yeah, and I can't imagine it was just like, whoop.
We'll get into it because, like, this is one of those cases where, intoxication comes into play, like, whatever. So here we go. So buckle up. And P.S., if you need to jump out, like if shit gets real and you don't want to take this anymore, I totally get it. Like, I'm going to try and keep it as light and fun as possible, but it's dark. So if you go, oh, this is not it for me, I'm sorry, bye. We'll see you next week, right? So let's do this.
Because I really get scared, man. I don't look around. I don't remember anything. I know I used the bottle.
Well, I know you keep saying you don't remember, but you do remember.
Yeah, kind of stuff, a little by little, but for real.
It's important that you remember as much as you can, and you tell us, and you're honest and truthful about what happened.
I'm always true.
I apologize for the hum and the hiss too. Like, it's interrogation footage, so I'm gonna keep it as like the levels as good as possible here. But say what's going on here.
Okay, so it's possible this could be too much for me, but I'll see how it goes.
Yeah, if you have to duck, like I get it.
True, I'm telling you everything I accept, everything I did, I accept it.
And I
accept
understand that you're a man and you're accepting it, but we need to know details. We need to know exactly what happened to her, why it happened, what you were upset about. Those things are that you're remembering everything, but there's certain things that you're not remembering, and I think it's because it's hurting you inside.
No, man, not really.
It's like.
Now, remember all that stuff I just told you, all the things, like the violence, the anger that must have ensued, the organs ripped from a human body. And he's like, hey, man, you're a human. He's appealing to his machismo side, which the Latinos love. Like, hey, man, be a man, like all that other shit. Like, stereotypes be as they will. Every man loves to be told he's a man. Doesn't have, the culture. But, like, he's like, I know, man, what's whatever. Hello? Like.
Yeah. Can
What's
you turn the volume on the video up? Kayla says the actual speaking in the video is pretty quiet compared to Dave and Krista. Can you increase the video volume so you aren't yelling at me when you pause the video?
All right, sorry about that. Still working on
If
levels.
everybody tell you about the arm, I can tell you everything else.
I understand. I understand you put your arm, but there's a reason why you were upset.
I don't know, man. Listen, I was
Is that better? Am I not screaming at you anymore?
wrong. I know when I.
Well, you kind of touched on it. You said that she wanted you to do certain things, and that was like, hey, wait, am I not?
It makes me feel down, but
am I
not
not
upset.
Oh, okay.
Not upset. Not to break the door and things like that. After there's something else, something that I don't remember.
That's the thing too. Is like the problem is, the facts are the facts. There's doors punched through, and he's like, yeah, I got mad about something, but it definitely wasn't about the person I killed in the closet.
Yeah.
What else could it have been, right?
I got mad and I must have done it, but I don't know
I
why.
don't remember. I cannot tell you, man. If I tell you right now, I'll be lying to you because I really don't know what to say about it. I don't want to be telling you, she told me this.
Okay, also, here's the thing. I want to sort of put this in perspective, too, because I was like, okay, blackout drinking is a thing, right? Because you can drink to excess, and there are stories, and it's documented you can black out drinking. This dude and his lady seemed like they weren't new to the game of drinking.
Mm-hmm.
And all they had was 2 1.5 apiece Applebee's margaritas.
Yeah.
So, the first one was sugar water and the second one was a little spicy. Fine. Maybe you got a little buzz from that, whatever. Their tolerance is probably of that. Like a normal person on the street could handle a margarita and a half at Applebee's. So when they pick up the bottle of 1800, like they didn't finish that. Like when I was coming up in my drinking years, like 22, 23, my friend and I would split a bottle of Crown Royal. I remember everything that happened during it.
Yeah.
We would split a bottle of vodka. We'd get Belvedere, Grey Goose, whatever.
Yeah.
I'm a lightweight, and we would still split a bottle. And even if I got to the point where I was throwing up, I would remember everything that happened. So if I'm going to buy a blackout drunk, it's going to need to be more than half a bottle of tequila at most, but they didn't finish the bottle, I don't think, and an Applebee's margarita and a half.
Yeah, no, unless there's like drugs involved with it, I don't.
Because imagine accidentally like waking up after a bender and seeing you accidentally knocked a bowling ball onto the head of your friend and they died in the night. And it was completely unintentional.
Yeah.
You go, oh my God, your life would be in shambles. This guy proactively did all the things that he did to his lady. And he's like, yeah, I don't know, man. Like, it's just a crazy night.
It's not true. I don't remember. I really don't remember. I'll take the fault for everything is broke. I know I did it. I know I did. But I don't know why.
So you're saying everything in that house you did, everything that occurred in that house was caused by you?
Totally.
Yeah, every breaking things and everything.
The injuries that she has inside of her?
Injuries that she has. Maybe I did it, I
Maybe.
put the stuff in her. She didn't by herself, but she was asking me to do it.
Before
I mean, I did nothing like, I didn't force her to do anything.
I understand. I'm just trying to make
force
sure
her
that
to
we
do
have
anything. I never forced her to do anything that she don't want to.
Before last night, you said last night was the first time she asked you to do these things?
Here we go.
with the bottle
Yeah,
and your,
first
and,
time,
and,
man.
your fist.
First time.
Before last night, what is the kinkiest or craziest thing sexually you two have ever done? Before last night.
69.
69.
So imagine being Fidel and going from, depending on the person, like a 69 can be anywhere from like a 2 to a 6, like on the Richter scale of racy.
Yeah.
Foreign objects and like entire segments of your body is not within like that ballpark.
No.
Like when I was young and playing T-ball, 69 is how far I could hit that ball off that tee. I was 6 years old, maybe 30 feet. Like a bottle and up to the elbow is like Ken Griffey Jr. level swinging. So there's no way. It's like, and P.S., it wasn't like they did 69 yesterday. And so they're like, hey, now 69 was yesterday.
Yeah.
Conservatively, let's call it a 4. Let's crank this baby up to 11 and see how much internal damage can be caused. No fucking way. Internal, the Richter scale of racy needs to have me going like this. Well, maybe the arrow is like a dong, but it's got to be censored because I, don't want to get demonetized. I'm not monetized.
That's it. Nothing else than that. Not even porno movies.
So you went from pretty vanilla, pretty tame.
Like not doing too much.
Not doing too much. Nothing
Normal
crazy.
sex.
Just normal sex.
Normal sex.
Right, normal. You
Normal
said not
sex.
even porno movies to
Not
watch.
even porno movies.
Okay,
yeah,
so
yeah.
normal sex
Normal sex.
to way over here, where now she wants a beer bottle
Hello?
and your fist inside of her.
And all that shit. I don't know why she was telling me that because she was drunk or I don't know why.
Well, I mean, had you ever had sex with her prior to her? I mean, last night.
Here's a G-rated metaphor, right? So there are competitive eaters out there for peppers and hot dogs and anything you can, worms. I remember watching documentaries about competitive eaters, and there was a guy who was the number one jalapeno or habanero, I don't know, some hot pepper eater. He was the champion. And so like he actually did a training course of sorts. Like on his off season, he wouldn't eat anything insane, but to eat 5 pounds of jalapenos during the competitive season at a time, he trained himself by eating 5 pounds of grapes at a time.
Huh.
So, but you see what he's doing there. He goes, okay, so I need to get my stomach this big to accommodate this much material, but let's not like stretch it out and then throw fire in there. He went, he softballed it and slowly stretched it out, eating grape after grape. That's what you should do. That's a G-rated metaphor. It's like somebody should have introduced grapes to Fidel.
Was last night the first time you two had sex while she was drunk?
No, man, no. We haven't done it before,
Okay, so-
but last night she was drunk.
Drunk.
Okay.
It was we both were drunk, very drunk.
But you've had sex with her prior to last night where you both have been drunk, right?
We had sex before drunk.
Right.
But not like drunk. it was
she's
tipsy,
never. But
you
she's
know.
never asked you to do anything like this before.
No, she's put her pussy on my, my mouth. No.
Okay, so also a little bit of context. I don't know when or where he learned English, but they go over it during his Miranda rights that he cannot write or read English, which is weird because they talk about text messages later, so maybe they're in Spanish. But yeah, so not only is his English broken, but he can't read or write it. So that is going to come into play throughout this as well.
One more thing.
Listen, normal sex. We're all men here.
Yeah,
You've eaten her out. She's blown you. Okay.
Exactly.
69.
We're dudes. Come on, man.
Divorce, probably in different
go
positions.
grab a
doggy
beer.
style, missionary.
Exactly.
Sometimes you haul off and smack her in the ass, or you look across the room and you see a mirror and you shine a flashlight over there, or something crazy.
You know, she's probably sat on
But
top of
last
you.
Dog
night
comes
is the
in, you
First time
get
that
outta
she
here.
asked me for shit like that. I don't know. She don't do no drugs.
When you guys are having sex, are the lights on? Is there lights on?
Tonight it was.
That's what I mean.
It may be. Maybe some. One day's on, one day's off.
What about tonight?
Tonight,
Tonight,
boy.
they were on, man.
The bedroom
They
lights
were
were on.
on. They were on.
I had to see where to put the bottle.
Bathroom lights were on. And the closet, I don't remember, because I don't remember see the blood. I see it in my hands when we went to the bathroom. But
And P.S. Like there would have been a Titanic amount. Like losing organ meat would, like those things need to be full of very rich blood.
But it would smell like blood.
Well, yeah, and this wouldn't be like that's the thing. But there's there's jong. This is the same fucking night. This is the same night of the blackout. Now, does he seem like, aside from the heavy accent, does he seem unreasonable? Like,
No.
this is the same night, people. Like, less than 12 hours ago, he was an amateur surgeon.
Yeah. Kayla says, you see a mirror and shine a flashlight over there? What? Why? Are you trying to summon Biggie Smalls?
Either that or, oh crap, Bloody Mary, or there's also Baby Blue. There's a million people you can get out of
now
mirrors.
I see it in the closet, so, you know. And I know it should be a lot of blood.
At any time did she say that it hurt, or she was in pain, or anything like that?
Man, I was asking her, baby, it doesn't hurt you? And she was telling me, no, keep doing it. Just like, you know, and the language.
Things a woman
wrong
probably
language.
wouldn't say if that was happening.
Here's the thing. I think that this is a lie of omission. In my heart of hearts, I believe that he remembers every detail. He's just, a monster that needed, or rather, the key to his lock was liquid. And at a certain point, he went and snapped. So I'm sure he remembers this. So yeah, this is a lie of omission where he goes, did she say blah, blah, blah? He can think back to before he was murdering her, maybe even before the bottle, and be like, yeah, she was totally cool with it. And it's not a lie because he's not saying anything specific. So Fidel here can go like, whoop, adjust the time frame a little bit. No, nothing was the matter, as a matter of fact.
A little bit.
I know, man. I know. Completely understand that, but you just want me to keep.
Oh, mother of God. That's how they go. But so, yeah. Do you kind of see where we're going here? There's not a there's not a lot of nuance to Fidel here, and the biggest strategy, or maybe the only strategy you're going to see, is like the wearing down. Like, we're going to have to go around in these circles. It's the same way you break a horse, right? You break a suspect the same way you break a horse. If you want them to calm the fuck down, you get a halter on them and you run their ass in a circle around you in the cage until they're tired as shit and their will is broken. You do that day after day, day after day. This will just be minute after minute where they're going to bridle up Fidel here and make him run around this table metaphorically until his defenses are so low where he's like, yeah, fine, I remember doing it. I want to go to sleep. Like, it's on top of, because again, remember, it's the same night, and booze is a depressant, and when you're coming off of it, you're gonna like be super tired.
Yeah.
Like when you're even though it is a depressant, when you're drunk, you can still rally. But like as it goes away and all of your stamina and energy just is leached from you, it's, I don't know. It feels like you're trying to get juice out of a grape, but you're just waiting for it to drip out. Like when you're drunk, there's a rock on you, constantly squeezing you. And these cops, all they got to do is just do a little boop, boop, boop. And that's why this interrogation is probably 3 hours instead of 10. Because I'm sure if he were sober and had the resolve, we wouldn't have gotten anything.
Yeah.
No, I keep doing it. I keep doing it. It's her pussy, no more. I don't have a pussy.
Even after you saw she had been bleeding.
I told her, baby, you're bleeding.
Right.
And she said, it doesn't hurt. That's what she told me. I don't know if because she was drunk. I was drunk too, man. Listen, I love sex. And, I love to see her pussy. Whatever.
Right.
Whatever.
But the first thing that you can remember is putting a bottle inside of her. That's the first thing.
That's the first thing, man. That's the first thing. And that comes to the conversation too. It doesn't make me pissed or nothing. Something else.
That's what you guys talked about initially?
No, not initially. We were talking about everything.
Real quick, unless you're into true crime or you happen to know someone who works in an ER or you've seen one of those TV shows where it's like crazy shit from the ER, The problem with getting stupid when you get like juiced up during sex is you forget the laws of physics. So here's the thing. I want you to take this away with you. So in case you ever get so horned up you're stupid, you don't do this. A bottle will be open and there will be a cavity inside. And once it is inserted a vacuum in anywhere, like you put it in a mud puddle, I don't care where you put it, once the air is out of it and there is a seal around it, you now have a vacuum.
Yeah.
And yeah, you say, well, obviously, Dave, like stupid, but it happens all the fucking time. And maybe like, you know, as we all knowingly pat ourselves on the back, you know, and we're all evolved humans thinking, yeah, we would never stick bottles in any of our orifices. I could have saved someone's life right now.
We
so
had a
let's not
guy
judge.
when I was younger and did a call back when I was in the Explorers or whatever. We did a call with a guy at the beach who had a Corona bottle stuck up his ass.
Right. It happens literally all the time.
Yeah.
And right. So here's the thing. If you're horned up on love juice and drunk, you're probably not going to listen. But if you're just horned up on love juice, like, I hope that my voice doesn't ruin the good time. But hey, maybe these words will help.
He wasn't even drunk. He was alone.
My family.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
Future, whatever. And, you know, conversation. And then she mentioned it. She mentioned about the bottle and things like that.
That's where I'm a little confused. You guys are drinking, talking about family, you know, doing normal time.
You know,
Fucking two Dom Torettos sitting around a cardboard box drinking tequila, talking about family, to then slamming inanimate objects into each other, and one is murdered.
But and you've never done anything like this before. She's never asked you to do anything like this. You weren't like in the mood at that. You went from point A to put a bottle inside of me.
Listen, we're in love with each other.
Yeah.
We always try to do everything to make the other one happy.
Absolutely. You're
You
a good
know?
man.
And then
Great man. What a great guy.
Conversation. No, of course she ain't gonna be talking about her father. And from there, she told me, I want you to put a bottle on my pussy. You know, she mentioned it, but we were talking about something like sexual, like something good, like something that we wanted to do together.
This is classic obfuscation. Like, I'm sure it feels good to like talk around the subject, but be like, you know, hey, you know, it's not like, because keep in mind, it's like you can't talk out of the fact that she's dead. So it's like the detective isn't up in arms about how you went from family to genitalia in the same breath. Like, yeah, social faux pas, totally. Wouldn't do it at the family reunion nor a Thanksgiving or Christmas dinner. However, it's nothing in comparison to what happened. But if you're an idiot, it'll seem like you're saying something but then like a detective isn't going to be stupid and be like, oh yeah, okay, yeah, that makes sense. Like, wait, no, what?
And she mentioned that.
Did she say this is something that like a fetish that she had, or
You know what? A
like
fantasy? Yeah, she should be a fantasy, man.
Are you talking about your fantasies tonight?
Yeah, no, me, man. I mean, like, you know, my fantasy is just being with her, man. You know?
I can't imagine being in a fucking mindset where like you're dead, I'm in an interrogation room, your guts are all over the house, and anywhere in the next 40 years I go psh when talking about you.
Right?
Like eviscerated less than 8 hours ago. I am psh. What? She wasn't a can of Mountain Dew, you fucker.
I'm not do that shit no more.
Did she want to do anything to you sexually that was kind of crazy that maybe made you angry?
Maybe she would want to
Maybe.
do something, but no, I don't think so, man. She knows I'm a man, man. I mean, nothing that she can do that makes me mad, man. Whatever she want to do it. I'm okay with that.
To you?
Except my ass.
So what else?
Except my ass.
But you did get mad.
I think it might because of something, man, but I don't know what.
Well, we need to figure that out.
I don't know why that's the linchpin here for him. Like, he knows he got mad. He is fessed up to literally all the physical activities that went on in that apartment.
But not to her. all of the like.
Well, no, he knows, knows whatever. He just says he can't remember. He's taking responsibility with saying, I don't remember. Which is incredible. Like we were talking to Jill in the Discord about this. And yeah, this is something that can be frightening because this dude was just a working stiff yesterday in this video.
Yeah.
It was just a construction worker in Florida living his life. He's got 2 kids. He's got a girlfriend. He's got his own apartment now.
Things were looking up.
Right. And to then come across with because the story that you paint as a criminal, you want to, or not, I don't know if you want to, but by and large, you paint yourself as the victim and or remorseful or yada, yada, yada. He's not remorseful. He's not taking responsibility necessarily. He's just this whole interrogation is like this. You're trying to hand somebody something at work and they don't want to take it, like a piece of paper. The detectives are desperately trying to hand him a flyer to a strip joint, and he's like a devout Jehovah's Witness going, hey!
We need to figure it out.
I mean, so what would make you mad?
My butt.
What kind of things would
Butt
enrage you?
stuff.
That's another weird tree to bark up, right? Because you got to go, okay, so she must have done something that didn't involve you to make you mad, or she did something to you to make you mad. And the fact that he's so calm, I don't know. Again, you have to see what sticks, but I don't know, because this is one of those guys where I can't get a good read on him. I don't think anybody can, because you say, well, maybe they should go aggressive. Maybe they should do good cop, bad cop. They're both just confused cops. And I am too, because we're not getting anything. It's not like one of them is taking an aggressive stance to force him into a corner while the other one's like, hey, just help me out. I'm confused. They're both so yesterday was 69 and today a bottle? And you both can't be the confused numbskulls.
You guys have any problems in your relationship?
No, man, not at all. We're good.
What about another guy?
No, man.
What if you found out that she was with another man?
Huh? No.
What if you found out she was with another guy?
If I find out, then I'll leave her.
That wouldn't make you upset?
I'll make me upset, but I'll leave her.
Would it make you punch holes in the wall?
Maybe.
Okay.
Maybe.
The
maybe
whole
punch
punching in
the
the
guy
wall,
too.
that gets a maybe.
Yeah.
But not
I
her.
understand that. Oh, I'm not. I know. I'm just saying.
Something
I'm just trying
worse
to figure
must
out
have
what
happened.
made you enraged and
We're
what
trying
got
to
you
figure it out
upset.
too, man. I don't even remember when I punched the walls, man. I don't even remember that.
We both are guys. We both know. If I got to a point where I was so pissed off, I would kind of have an idea of what I would be upset about, especially if it was involving my wife.
The fucking butteriest softball ever.
Mm-hmm.
If I were sort of getting mad enough to sort of punch some holes in the wall, I think I might hypothetically have an inkling, a little bit of a clue of why I was mad and doing such a itty bitty destruction all over the teensy weensy apartment.
Yeah, drinking or not,
Fucking sack up and somebody be mean to this guy. We need a bad cop to give Fidel a splash of cold water. He needs the nut slap of the cold wave at the beach. Whatever. One can be the confused, happy-go-lucky nice cop, but somebody needs to be seriously, dude, what the fuck? But they're both in a roundabout way, do you possibly think about maybe one day telling me an answer? Jesus Christ.
But listen, man, when you're drunk, you don't know.
They get angry later, but it takes so long.
That's the problem. You're intoxicated, you don't know. You don't know. I was intoxicated just like her.
Yeah.
I really don't know what I get mad about. When you're intoxicated, you can get mad about anything.
Yeah.
You don't control your mind.
Was she upset at you for punching the walls? Was she upset at you for breaking things in the house?
Maybe.
I want to take a poll really quick of the live and in the future people watching this. Because, again, when I was working construction, I heard a bunch of stories about how different alcohols affect people differently. I heard a country mile of stories saying, I can do this, but I can't do that. And yada, I can do tequila. I can't do tequila. I can do brandy. I can't do whiskey, blah, 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 blah. I say, oh, it affects me this crazy way. Biologically, I don't necessarily believe that shit, because what we have here is like sugar getting eaten by yeast and then distilled, whether it's grain or agave or fruit or corn or sugar or whatever the fuck, and it gets down to that nitty gritty. I've not seen any conclusive evidence to that, you know what I mean? Like, because people, anecdotally will say, I can't drink tequila because it makes me mad. But no matter what I drink, I'm just a goofier version of who I am.
I dated a guy who every time he would have Jack Daniels, he'd become a giant asshole.
Here's what I'll buy. So that was a choice then, because every time he had it means like it.
Yeah, he wanted to do it.
Choice.
Yeah.
If that booze is tied to a memory, like an abusive family member or whatever, then I'll buy that shit. Like if you say, hey, I get violent when I drink tequila because my dad drank it and beat the fuck out of me, and so the smell and the taste makes me want to, victimize too.
Yeah, Tony's got a friend who gets really twisted on vodka. She can drink anything else, but she gets very angry with vodka.
See, and I'm curious because, like, that has to be, no, it doesn't have to be, but it feels like internally in my gut, it's a tie to an emotional trigger. Because you're, like, vodka especially is like the purest of the pure alcohols. Like, it's distilled and distilled and distilled until it is a clear, colorless, tasteless, 100% pure alcohol with no other contaminants in it. So if you want to make a case for, well, the whiskey, the charring of the barrel, maybe there's some chemical in that, or the tequila, the agave, something slips through. But vodka, that feels like it's just a raw burn. There's nothing chemically about it that would make you go, I'm crazy. It must be a trigger to something that nobody is either looking deep enough to find the source of or something. Because it just doesn't make sense that like, just because it tastes a little different, you go, oh, I'm crazy.
Yeah.
Because I think it goes a little deeper. Like, I'm sure if someone, like if your dad drank Miller High Life and was an alcoholic and beat the shit out of you, you'd probably associate pain, suffering, violence, fear with the smell, and then one day with the taste of that drink.
But you'd think you'd also avoid it, though.
Well, but you don't know. You don't know you're building the reverse Pavlovian experience until you get out there. I went through a phase where I just tried all and sundry. I loved the process and the culture and the distillation and everything that came around, like alcohol and spirits. So I tried a little bit of everything and got blasted on a little bit of everything just to see if I had one of those hidden things where I go, I can't have a gin and tonic because my balls fly out of my pants. Nothing. Not a thing. Tequila, rye, whiskey, gin, rum, you name it. Like seltzers, wines, everything I've had, I've never gotten angry because I have no cues tied to any of those, because smell and taste are insane triggers to memory.
Oh, yeah.
And who loves more? What demographic out there is more likely to be involved in violent altercations than someone who drinks alcohol to excess?
Yeah.
I pontificate too long. Sorry. Whatever.
See, Mike, I know we make love. We make love and everything because I said sorry, and I know I said sorry because if it's no, we would never make love. But I know.
So you're pretty sure that all the damage was caused before you had sex?
Oh yes. Oh, yes.
So that
which is insane. So what he is saying there is that the entire apartment was destroyed.
That they just moved into.
Just moved into, punched all the holes in the walls, broke all the shit, all the appliances, and then that's when the mood took a turn, and like you went from an 11 to a 3, and like Barry White started playing, and like the lights dropped out, and there was just a red, like what the, are you fucking kidding me?
Yeah, no.
I'm pretty sure.
there was an argument, there was damage, there was a makeup, and then there was sex.
I've had very few fights with girlfriends in my life, and they've never ever gotten physical. I've raised my voice at someone before because which was super annoying. I don't like arguing, but when you enter into a relationship with someone who loves it, you slip into that habit because it becomes the evil you know. But moral of that story is, like, after a heated exchange of words where we were constantly across the living room because I was doing dishes and they were watching TV or whatever, even after a fight like that, I would go to bed angry. Like, I can't imagine punching a wall, a door, and putting my foot through the pantry and then being like, all right, whew, now that that's out of my system, I'm juiced up and ready to bone. What? Not saying that there aren't people out there who can't
people
do
have
that,
angry sex, makeup sex,
but
whatever.
doesn't that just burn out your transmission going from like reverse to 6 like that?
Mm-hmm.
And that was it. And then she told me, get out of the bathroom and throw up. And it's when all this shit happens, man. She couldn't breathe. She couldn't breathe. I hear her, but I don't hear any noise. When I opened the door, she was like this. Like,
She doesn't have any
you didn't
insides.
get air to your.
So
let me ask you this.
real quick, this is a little bit of medical tidbit that I picked up. He's going to recreate that labored breathing. So that is an autonomic nerve response when you're dead, essentially.
Yeah.
When you are brain dead, your brainstem and every base part of you that is screaming to stay alive is going to start firing and do everything it can to keep you thus. So there's a guy out there, his name is Kevin something. He killed his mom, but the same thing happens. They will say, and he'll say it too, the victim started snoring. And that is a deep, because they don't have the higher brain function to keep their musculature in order, but the base is keeping their diaphragm going because it desperately wants to stay alive, but we're losing blood. We're losing something. And the lizard brain's kicking in. So when you hear that, they're dead. Like that's their limbic system or whatever, the base nervous system firing to just keep the body pumping.
Yeah.
So that's the thing. A lot of these murderers, they go, oh, well, they were still alive. And I thought, well, because it's misleading because they're basically their death rattle. Because that snoring will do one of two things. It'll either freak the person out to get on the phone and turn themselves in and call 911 like Fidel did, or it spurs the killer to take immediate action to finish the job like Kevin What's-His-Nuts did when he killed his mom.
Even though they were already gone.
Right, but he doesn't know
Yeah.
that. When somebody starts snoring and breathing,
Well, right. Yeah.
you go, oh my God. So that's that autonomic function. Flip of a coin, it gets 50% of people to confess because they call 911 themselves going, oh my God, thank God they're breathing. I can call 911 and explain all this away.
Yeah.
But in reality, not so much.
When she says to you, I got to throw up, get out of the bathroom.
Uh-huh.
You left the bathroom?
I thought, baby, you okay? This is yeah, okay. I left the bathroom.
Did she shut the door?
No. I leave it like this, like no.
Like a these. You look like a man, am I right? No, but seriously, like, this is all hogwash. Like what we're getting right now where he's going like, oh, she did the bathroom, blah, blah, blah. She got in the bathroom herself, right? We'll get into it, but if in case because I see how long the show's been so far, we don't get to it. All of her guts were ripped out in the closet. So there is 0% chance that she was conscious and or able to move at all under her own power to get from the closet to the master bathroom. 0% chance in hell. Like shock, blood loss, intoxication, any number of those things says no go. We've got all three.
Yeah.
Close, but
Almost closed.
Just in case,
Okay.
I'm not gonna close the door.
So she's in there. What were you doing? Where were you at? What did
I
you do?
went outside to smoke a cigarette.
You went outside.
Yeah, to the balcony.
Okay.
And
Was
go
ahead.
that's when I see that the glass is broke, and I think one glass almost getting to my feet is when I realized that thing was broke.
The glass he is talking about is the sliding glass door. You punch both of those up as well.
I don't remember about punching the wall. If you say you see the holes, I did it. But I don't remember.
Okay.
It is when I see that
So-
there's glass in the floor, in
Okay.
the carpet.
So she's in the bathroom because she says she's got to throw up. She wants you to get out.
Uh-huh.
You go out to the balcony and smoke a cigarette.
Mm-hmm.
Give us an idea. How long were you out there? How long were you not with her? How long was she in the bathroom before you went in and found her?
10, 15 minutes.
10, 15 minutes?
That's a
10,
long
15
time to not
minutes.
check on
Like
somebody. If I was barfing in the bathroom, like I feel like you'd probably come and check on me if I wasn't making any noise.
Right, but this whole story is bullshit. Like, that's the thing. It takes about 10 to 15 minutes to smoke a cigarette, probably, between maybe 7. It doesn't matter. That's the thing, is like, he's trying to imply, and not even imply, he's explicitly telling him he had no knowledge that anything was wrong. But for that to happen, he would need to be Helen Keller.
Right.
He would need to be blind, deaf, and dumb to go through that experience and come out with zero information to relay.
Yeah.
But what other defense does he have? We've got one. We've got the bottle of tequila, and we've got, okay, well, I don't remember. But here's the thing. Sarah did the same thing. If you're going to, if it is an accident, like let's say, because on that chart where you've got lawful good, neutral good, yada yada yada, so lawful good all the way to chaotic evil and everything in between, right? You want to come off as chaotic good. Like you're crazy. Everything is just like, whoa, we love wine and painting and puzzles, and we got in the suitcase and everything was fun, but now I'm utterly destroyed because I'm chaotic good, and this was a horrifying accident. She comes off as lawful evil, where she goes, the law says I didn't do anything wrong, and so I get to wallow in the fact that I murdered someone. Unintentional, no malicious content. That's
But
what we
there's
call
a video.
That's what we call lawful evil.
Yeah.
She thinks the law is on her side, and so she gets to exploit it for her evil purpose. Fidel here feels like chaotic evil. He's not necessarily planning it. Who knows what the trigger was? Again, motive is still a mystery at this point to this day with him, I think. We don't know. The whole story is like the name and then the whole, I don't know, but he's coming off as chaotic evil, but he's painting the picture as like straight neutral. Like he's like, you can't walk out of an apartment that is essentially a horror show that like you would see in a Hostel movie and paint yourself as neutral, like pure neutral. You have to come out saying you're chaotic good. There's no other way to paint yourself. Everything was well intentioned, but
Something bad happened.
right. So what, 1800, but that's the thing. You could say, well, it was either violent video games, a violent movie, violent music, booze, weed, meth, Let's chop up everybody's responsibility here and find out who and how much time they should get in prison. Meanwhile, the person who is dead,
Yeah.
right? They don't get to appeal their sentence. They don't get to say, hey, good news, we're going to take 4 years off you being dead. We'll bring you back to life and you can die in 4 years for good behavior. What the fuck, right? Not fair.
I don't remember pretty well, 10 to 15 minutes, because I used to smoke cigarettes. When I'm drunk, I smoke it very fast.
How many cigarettes did you smoke?
I'll smoke one cigarette, all right? Then I went over there, and I'll hear her. I say, baby, okay? And then I open the door. Is when I see her like this.
Okay, and when you found her at that time, I know we asked you before. I just want to make sure. What position was she in?
She was like between the toilet and the bath. Like,
So
I thought she was gonna throw up in the toilet or
Right.
in the bath.
okay.
You know, like you
Was
can
she-
throw up anywhere you want.
Anywhere
Okay, so
you
she
want.
was in
Anywhere.
between the two.
Hey, the world is your oyster, baby. Throw up wherever you want. This is my whole apartment. I can puke wherever. Like a
Puke
touching
at the holes in the
sentiment
walls.
if she weren't murdered at this point.
The toilet and the bathtub. Was she leaning more on the toilet? Was she leaning more on the bathtub? Was she?
I really, right now, she was between the both of them.
Okay.
I don't remember, pretty well. I know she didn't throw up because she didn't throw up.
I can't, again, divorce yourself, gentle viewer, from a crime, right? So let's just say divorce yourself of a true crime. Let's say you walk into your bathroom and your partner is in that bathroom, wedged between the toilet and the tub. How would you retell that story? Would it be like, yeah, man, I don't know, like there was the toilet and there was a tub and there she was in the middle? I don't know. Or would you flip the fuck out because the person you love is face first, crammed in between two water faucets where no human should ever lie down? I don't know.
There was nothing in the bath, and
Nothing in the toilet.
no, I don't. I know that I
Right.
remember.
Okay.
Now that I remember, and you know what? I don't hear her throwing up. You see somebody throwing up, you hear it. I don't hear it. That's what
You
She
were
was like-
outside though.
And this one, I get scared. Call 911, man.
There it is. You see? He flipped that coin. He heard her death rattle, and instead of wanting to finish the job, because that's the thing, it maybe that separates like it can't definitively, but it can be used as an indicator. You use it in a cluster of 3 if you're in the FBI of like crimes of passion versus premeditation, because when you hear that, the crime of passion person is going to go, oh my God, a saving grace. Whereas the premeditation person is going to go, uh-oh, I haven't finished yet.
Yeah.
Is it 100% foolproof? No. But if we're going to look for various elements to classify all these weirdos in little pigeonholes, that is useless information, again, by the way, P.S., that's how you would do it.
I mean,
Now,
like,
now
she
at that
can't
point,
get-
you're up, you're walking, you're having a cigarette, you're walking around. You see her, you see your house.
What?
You see like your apartment.
It's
at that
fucked
point.
up, dude.
Yeah,
You say
man,
you recognize that the glass is broke.
I recognize
You
it,
see
the glass
her-
is broke.
Where's she at? She's in the bathroom at
She
that
was
point.
in the bathroom. She was in the bathroom.
P.S. Blood everywhere. Don't look in your mind's eye. Don't think of the apartment as like, oh, it's just a bunch of holes everywhere. So guts were ripped out of a person, so there is blood. It was all over his arms. It was everywhere. It's not like, oh, this is just like, because when I bought my last house, like some kids broke in between buying it and moving in and fucked up a bunch of shit. And I go, ah, God damn it. But this is that plus a body and a shit ton of blood. Like, it's not like, oh, your apartment, like you flipped over a table because you were pissed. It's like you wanted to take a building down and a person was in there and got caught in the melee.
Yeah.
I
Then you
get out
have
the bathroom.
then you have like your little hallway, you have a closet, bedroom, and kitchen over here, right? So you have your kitchen, your bathroom, your closet, and your bedroom.
Yeah.
So you're checking her, and in that area.
No, but she wasn't in that area. She was in the bathroom.
I know, I'm saying, but you find her in the bathroom. But if you stand at the bathroom, you can see your bedroom right to the right.
The bedroom?
The bedroom.
I don't care about the bathroom. I just
I'm
went
just
outside.
telling you.
Yeah, you can see the bathroom. You can see
So
it.
you see the area. There's a lot of blood. There's a lot of blood in that area. Did you see all that blood?
Man, I don't even realize. I mean, I just went outside smoking. I know there was blood.
Here's the thing. So there are some suspects you have to sort of treat with kid gloves. And I get why you want to. There's a couple of reasons. You would want to treat someone who you think is of lower intelligence as such with kid gloves, as this detective is doing with Fidel here. Or if you're doing it to work against their ego, like if you not evaluate, but you're like intentionally underestimating their intelligence. So you're like, hey, do you know what DNA is? Like, I'm a police officer. I can see why you would do that to like get someone angry to snap. Fidel is neither of those things. He's not subpar intelligence where it's like, hey, like, sure, his English is bad. That doesn't mean he's stupid.
Right.
They're treating him like he's stupid because his English is bad. He's as intelligent as any other person walking the earth you can find if you pull 1,000 people. So I feel like we're misstepping a lot of places here. We're foregoing good cop, bad cop. And on top of that, we're being over-accommodating cop because despite the fact he is completely in the know and understands what's going on, they're like, well, here, maybe, like, did you see all the blood? Like, did you see the blood? Like, it's like you're talking to, like, if I were to talk to my son after we left the zoo, to be like, did you like the giraffes? Did you see the giraffes? Huh? The body? Did you see the body and all the blood, Lopez? Fidel, did you see the blood? It was all over the place. Blood. You like the blood? We'll go back tomorrow.
I told her, I know it's blood.
Yeah.
I put the bottle, I know it's something is bleeding. And I know it's her
But there was a lot of blood.
There was a lot of blood, I know. In the closet and everywhere. In the bathroom, between the closet and the bathroom, there was a lot of blood. I know it's a lot of blood.
Did you try to clean it?
No, man. Why should I have?
Bullshit. In case we don't get to it, bullshit. He is wearing, this is his undershirt. He was wearing something over this and he vigorously washed his hands with soap and water. So to be like, oh no, bullshit.
To try and clean it. She was the one to have to clean it the next day. Not me.
Okay, but
Because she's a lady. Get it? Like, after I murdered her, if she survived that, I'd be like, hey man,
clean this shit up.
See all this buzz? Get your intestines out of the closet.
You wanted this, you clean it.
when she says she wants you to leave and you're gonna go to, she needs to throw up. You go out and smoke a cigarette.
Okay.
When you come back, you see all that blood. Weren't you concerned about that? Didn't you find that?
I see the blood. I know there's blood.
I know, but
The question is, weren't you concerned about that? Not did you see the blood? That's rhetorical. Like maybe rhetorical questions don't happen in Cuba. But here we have rhetorical questions. You say, didn't you see the blood? Hello?
all that amount of blood.
Allison Marie Armstrong.
a concern
I just
for you?
came in to get
Of course.
get your intestines out of the closet.
He said, it's okay, it's okay.
I know, but she's not conscious at that point.
No, at that point, not. But I told her, because she was in the bathroom, but there was already, the blood is already there. When she said, get out of the bathroom, I want to throw up, we already do the thing and everything. And I told her, there's a lot of blood.
Has she ever bled before when you had sex?
Yeah.
Like, the fact is that, and I tell her there's a lot of blood. It's hard to put in perspective, like, liquid volumes. But just imagine this, like, everybody's familiar with like a measuring cup, right? Like, take a measuring cup and fill that with red Kool-Aid, right? And that's just a single cup. Walk into any room in your house and imagine pouring that onto the floor, whether it's hardwood, linoleum, carpet, or whatever. 1 cup of red liquid on any surface would be catastrophic, right? And a human body is so unbelievably full of blood, it is insane. If you've ever gotten a heavy nosebleed or you've ever had a head wound, like, it seems endless. So And it's such a bright color too. Like it's red. And it's the type of red that speaks to us on a primal level. Like, this is bad. Every organism recognizes the color of its own blood and knows how to fucking freak out because of it. So, coupled with the fact that, like, a little bit goes a long way and humans have a lot, and the fact that the color is so mind-blowingly, like, recognizable, the fact that he's like, yeah, I minimizing the fact that there must have been just a straight paint strip from the closet to the bathroom, right? So, okay, so you've watched this interrogation before, right? We're probably not going to get to all of it because we're going so slow and I'm talking too much, but it's crazy. Sam Raimi, maybe a little off kilter with the amount of blood, but pretty close. The human body has so much blood, and I'm not saying so much like it's an insane amount, but the fact that, like, a cup, like, imagine having a cup of coffee, 10 ounces, just 10, and maybe you've even drank 2 or 3. So let's say 7 ounces of coffee, cream and everything, and spilling that on something. That's this much, and you're so full of liquid. And he's just like, meh. Oh, you don't want to see the crime scene photos because they're not good. I've seen them; they're not. But we all know what blood looks like, and we all know. But we can all imagine the horrifying discovery and how we'd react. It probably wouldn't be like, "Yeah, I saw it." Not like if you're not a car guy and your friend goes, "Whoa, that's a 67 Corvette Shark," and you go, "All right, this isn't a muscle car; it's a murder."
A couple times.
Like while she's having her period?
No.
So
she told me that she have this kind of I don't know how to say in English, a petite B or something like that. That she have
a petite B? Is that a period thing I don't know about, Krista? Is that a petite B? I got a petite B. You're so full of liquid. But think about it, people. Your coffee cup holds at most 10 ounces, and you have quarts. Spilling that shit, it never goes right.
I don't know why he's touching his stomach when he's talking about a petite B. Maybe like
that's where your uterus is on the inside.
Maybe she has like endometriosis or something that he doesn't know the English word for, and maybe her periods are worse than other people's.
I don't know. Alison Marie Armstrong seems to say that she doesn't know what that is.
But I don't know what a petite B is either. But
cool.
It's definitely not cool.
Hepatitis?
Yeah, B.
Hepatitis B.
Oh.
All we had to do was shut up and listen.
Nothing about a period.
He was saying hepatite B.
Hepatite B.
Not bon appetit B.
Yeah, something like that.
And what does she say?
I don't know. I mean, I don't know if that's the problem or whatever. She said that you have the filter you have inside is for the alcohol. The filter, the alcohol. Mm-hmm. She says down in there is weak. Something like that.
Hepatitis
cirrhosis
does affect the liver.
Yeah, it can give cirrhosis to the liver.
He solved that riddle quick. He's a good detective. You give good directions, right?
Liver?
No rubber.
Yeah. I don't know if you said that in English like that, but I don't know if that's could cause the reason to blood, but
but how much blood is?
Yeah, I don't think having hepatitis would necessarily affect the amount of blood you lose when your intestines are ripped out through a bodily orifice.
Probably not.
Oh no! If I didn't have hepatitis,
nothing like
I wouldn't die
tonight.
No. But tonight was something different. Tonight we do crazy shit. Never done before.
No shit.
Yeah, we've been over that.
Sex before. Just man, they get you have blood.
Yeah.
But tonight, man, like, come on, man. I mean, like,
No, it's crazy. No,
What are you pointing at your arm for?
Because this is how deep he went.
Oh. Got it.
So, like, here's the thing. The term off the rails, right? We're all familiar with that. It's a pretty easy thing to comprehend. You say, oh, this is off the rails. There are various levels of off the rails. This is Back to the Future 3 level off the rails. This isn't like a train going and like missing a thing, or like there was a signal that was halfway open and like half of it falls over and just goes clunk. This is full speed, 88 miles an hour off the end of a bridge into a canyon where at the bottom is nothing but fiery death. That's how off the rails this is.
Yeah. Allison says, man, I want to say I hope she didn't suffer, but there's no fucking way. My God, top 3 most brutal ways to die.
Right. The neighbors all say there was a horrifying racket, which there always is, right? How can there not be?
Yeah.
Whether you're George Torres Jr. or I forget this poor woman's name, like domestic violence sadly is so commonplace. That's what we do.
Mm-hmm.
We hear these horrifying, and especially in an apartment, like if any of our neighbors had a domestic violence issue, they'd have to get hell loud for us to hear it. But like in an apartment building or whatever, it happens all the time. And so it just becomes, again, like the evil you know. It just becomes background noise.
Well, and then in that sense, when you hear it, what do you do? Like,
Right.
I saw in our old house, I literally watched a guy punch a girl in the face on our street while I was packing my car doing something.
I thought I was going to witness a murder because that same family, the woman, the girl's mom shows up and walks right in, and yelling commences immediately. And I think, okay, gunshots coming up next.
Yeah.
But that was a different area. We were close to them. Moral of the story is again, what do you do? Is it your business?
Right.
Should you make it your business? If you call the cops, will it make a fucking difference? Because is this not a pattern? Have you not heard this yelling before? Will anybody stepping in, friends, family, police, anybody, be able to break that cycle? And are you going to be the one to do it by being like, hi, I'm a concerned neighbor, anonymously reporting from across the street?
Yeah.
I understand. Now, I don't see, there's no blood on your arm.
Man, wash it up.
Yeah,
That's
weird,
what I'm
right?
asking you. Did you clean up? Did you clean yourself up?
Not myself up, but no, not exactly. Now I have blood, man, but come on. I put my hand on her and I have blood. I'm not going to leave the blood there.
No, I
have to
understand.
wash
So
it
you
up.
Well, that's what I'm asking you. Do you
But
wa-
no, with soap, man. With the water.
I'm just saying, what did you do? That's what I'm asking. What did you
You
do?
should wash it up because I don't have any blood.
Where did
Maybe the sink you see open.
where did you wash it? In the sink?
Should be.
Okay. In the
Should
bathroom.
be.
In the sink? Not
I
the
stuck
toilet?
my arm in the toilet.
You didn't like
Did you check the toilet?
run the bath? You didn't like run out, get an Arrowhead contract underway, wait the 15 days for your first delivery, have the guy bring up the bottles, set up the cooler, give it an hour to maybe let that chiller pop in, and then run that Sweet Mountain spring water over your hands, my dude?
Allison says, I had a neighbor call the police one time when my boyfriend at the time was being a piece of shit. I was grateful to her for it. If you see something, say something.
Right, and that's the thing. So that's just it. Because you say, oh, it'll be a burden. But if the cycle is unbreakable, the police, it doesn't matter. They know the routine, sure. But if it's something that someone's unfamiliar with and they have a chance to break away, then yes, see something, say something. I totally agree with you, because if it's a first-time event and they need a reality check, cops will give you a reality check because...
Yeah, so when I saw the guy punch the woman and the girl in the face on our street, I was the only one outside, and the girl said, that person can see you doing that right now. And she basically egged him on to punch her in the face. She was like, come on, do it. I know you won't do it. And then he did. And then he's like, and she goes, she just saw you do that. So if I called the police,
Right.
I would have been the one. They knew that I was the one who would have done
But
it.
that's the thing. That you're going to run into situations like that. Every niche needs to be filled in every ecosystem. So for everyone that can escape and will see the hatch that is the way out of this relationship, hopefully by a police call by a concerned neighbor, there will be another one who will just be like, yeah, do it, motherfucker. I fucking dare you, because that bitch is there. I'll call the cops. And that's the thing. It becomes a tactic.
Yeah.
Your relationship now just involves police who separate you because you're toddlers and don't know how to do it yourselves necessarily. If you're that, I'm not saying if you're in a codependent like Sarah Boone type relationship. Not everyone is like that, obviously.
In the bathroom, I guess.
Okay, and where was she when you were washing it off?
She was over there in the floor.
You know, between the toilet and the tub.
I don't know
doing
which
that
way.
death rattle.
Yeah.
She was like over there. She told me, "Get out! I have to throw up, man."
Bullshit.
Okay.
You
At
know?
what point did you wash the blood off your arm?
Right there. Okay. And then I'll get out and smoke the cigarette.
So you wash your arms, then you left.
And then I left and smoked a cigarette. And she said, "You want to throw up?" Okay. She didn't throw up. She was bleeding a lot. I know that. But she was okay.
And that
until
didn't
I get
concern you?
until I get to the back.
Here's the problem is like there probably was a time when like science wasn't there and you can make up a story and it's like, well, it's domestic abuse and she's a lady and this would all get swept under the rug, right? But the high tide lifts all ships. And so now, no matter what, most cases are getting a scrutiny that nobody else, you know, in previous times would get. And so a story of like, well, you know, this happened, that happened, blah, 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 you know, this just feels like again, it's a horror scene, so maybe it wouldn't have been swept under the rug, but I don't know. I don't know what I'm trying to get at here. Maybe you get what I'm getting at. You see what I'm trying to get at here, but like, there's nothing weird about this case.
I find out that she couldn't breathe. That's what scared me up, and I called the police or 911.
I have to use the restroom.
Yeah.
You want to take a break?
Yeah, I do too. You got to go to the bathroom?
I need to smoke a cigarette, man.
Cool.
All right, let's go smoke a cigarette.
Oh my God. I can't believe we've only been through 17 minutes of footage. I thought we were right after the cigarette break, and it doesn't get super juicy until after the cigarette break. Sorry, should have started here. Hopefully we cut ahead in this footage.
Boop.
But again, this cigarette break is pivotal. So I'm glad we kind of got a little bit of, and by a little bit, I mean an hour and 17 minutes of back story. Because the cigarette, that nicotine hit, it's a little creature comfort. It gets people talking. Cigarettes are not prison currency for no reason.
Mm-hmm.
Fast forward. Here we go. So we're going to sit through the whole cigarette break. Thank God.
You want to eat?
Smash
That's
into
your
that
food.
chair.
It's a sandwich. You have water? You need another water? Okay, just give me a minute, all right? I'm gonna talk to my boss.
Got your sandwich.
Allison says it's okay. Let's go another 17 minutes. Like moss to the flame.
Just like Dalton Aiken, they give him a sandwich and they go, "Hey man, what's up with that sandwich?" And he's like, "I didn't touch the shit." I just might be able to do some Kilroy was here scribbles, make a few octagons, play
Doodles.
MASH a few times.
So commercials.
Watch a commercial. Jesus H. Christ, guys. Like, so you see, we're still deep in the mine of denial. There's, I don't know if we're going to get to it tonight, but at a certain point, and this should happen in every interrogation where the material is available, photos are produced. Video should be produced, a la Sarah Boone. If there's video, photo, any sort of evidence that will let the suspect know that things are hopeless. Because here's the thing, you want one of two things. We've spent an hour and 9 minutes, or they have in real time with Fidel. At this point, I say, okay, here's our fucking, we throw all of our chips into the ring and we do this. You show them the evidence, so they're either going to need to explain it and they're going to crack, or they're going to lawyer up and we get to call it a night.
Yeah.
It's a win-win. So, I mean, obviously it's not going to be a win-win because some people will just stare at the evidence and be like, oh, I don't know, like Susan Monica and her weird pig murder thing. We can get into that later one day if you want. But some people will just stare at it and will go on with status quo. But it's a great point at which things can crack.
Yeah.
You're in a limestone quarry. You've drilled all the holes. Let's put the feather and plug in.
Allison says, like, wasn't this confession the night of the murder? How is he this composed? I would think he'd be belligerent drunk.
Bingo. I said that earlier when you weren't here. But yes, this is the same night that he blacked out.
Right.
So basically, the margaritas and the tequila made him black out for about 15 minutes. Just enough time for him to stick his arm elbow deep into his girlfriend and remove her insides.
I can't.
Then, boom, mysteriously he came to. Jesus, how did that happen? Oh, you kidding me, Susan Monica? We need to talk about her one day.
You writing something?
No.
I'm just doing doodles.
Go ahead.
I can't write.
They should do that more often. Like,
Put paper there?
yeah, just a paper and pen or like crayons or whatever, because people need to fill silence. They need to fill voids.
Probably crayons would be better. 'Cause
No,
the
that'd be
pens-
insulting. Like a couple of pencils or a pen or whatever, like to doodle. Because detectives will use it in the room. Silence you can use to your advantage when you're sitting there, but when you're gone too. When you're sitting there, you can use silence to pull out answers. When you're gone, a pencil and paper can be a gateway into somebody's psyche. Or they could just write a bunch of Kilroy cartoons. Moral of the story is if you're throwing everything at the wall, this is an innocuous enough attempt at shit to try literally every time that doesn't feel forced.
Yeah. Tony says he does seem a bit drunk still.
A little, but not much.
Kayla says we need to get through more than 17 minutes tonight. If you preempt the next week's commercial party, I'll be unhappy.
We're finishing this tonight regardless.
Give him some crazy art color pencils.
Right.
That would piss anybody off. But I feel like they don't put sharp objects in there for when they're not
do
there.
a couple of things. Give them, the pen, like the Sharpie, something soft or whatever. Maybe a spirograph or whatever.
You okay? Right. I
Just
need
something
another
to get
minute.
them.
Just want to make sure.
Because it works for kids. Like, people express themselves authentically through artistic means. That's why artists, have a reputation throughout history as being connected to divinity or the gods or whatever, because they turn human experience into relatable media. And that is not special to literally anybody. Everybody, given the opportunity, will doodle, will fuck around, and will express themselves in some medium other than just being a boring mouthpiece.
Yeah.
I'm saying.
Allison says he might try to Jeff Stacy himself. Woo, that was a rough one. I'm sorry. But yeah, that's what I thought of when What's His Nuts was like at the interrogation. He put the pen to his neck like he was going to stab himself.
Okay, so here's the thing. Legitimate attempts are going to be made in the Pam Hupp style, not the Jeff Stacy style. If you are trying to get out of something via checking out, you do a Pam Hupp. You say, I need to go to the bathroom, and you smuggle a pen into the bathroom and you jab yourself in the arteries because you want to extinguish yourself. If you're doing it as a cry for attention, you're going to do it
In front
under
of
3
people?
cameras with quadraphonic sound, possibly in front of 2 people with handcuffs who will stop you before you do any real damage.
Yeah.
So that's just it. Like, throw a knife in the room with these people. They're only going to make a show. If they're legitimately intent on doing it, they're going to do it in such a way that can't be stopped. Like Pam Hupp was stopped because somebody was on their game that day.
Yeah.
Sure. Everything okay? You sure? Okay.
Oh, P.S. Jeff Stacy, also Cyrax. Ah! It's a pen. Ah! I would even go so far as to leave some construction paper and some Crayola markers, washable ones. But seriously though, people will, I mean, not always, but dummies like Fidel here will probably write like, let's say you put a piece of paper or like a legal notepad and a one of those big gel points in front of Jim Roush, and Catherine and Tom left the room and just let him sit there as a stewed prune with paper and pen in hand. He probably would have written a self-insert fan fiction of banging sad Cheyenne.
Yeah,
But instead, we got Tom going, do you think you kind of wanted to make a connection with someone tonight? You like people, you want to, tonight it was about feelings. It was about emotions. Shut the fuck up, Tom. Shut up. Give him a piece of paper.
No, it's just nothing.
Just doodling.
Huh?
Doodling.
What?
Doodling.
I'll just take this paper.
What is that? Car? Hot rod?
You see?
Oh, let me see that sweet drawing. You should be an artist.
Here's the thing. If nothing else, it's rapport building.
Yeah.
Let's say they draw nothing related to the case. He's a construction worker or a mechanic. Maybe he's a diesel mechanic. Maybe that's it. I'm an idiot. Sorry. He's maybe a mechanic. But he draws a couple cars. Like, after a long break, the tension is down. Come back in and be like, hey, man, yeah, cars. You're a car, bro. Murder?
Okay.
Anyway.
Back to the murder.
I'm just curious.
That looks like a Caterpillar engine.
Caterpillar engine?
Okay, yeah, he's definitely a mechanic. Sorry, everybody. Not a construction
We got a
worker.
little bit of a problem. Yes.
Little bit of a problem. First off, your girlfriend of a year is dead.
She's still dead.
Whoopsie.
All right. I just got off the phone with our crime scene.
CSI.
Medical examiner's there. Okay? The doctor. And there's the injury to her is severe. Severe injuries. Severe injuries.
Oh.
He doesn't know she's dead?
Yeah, I don't know if he knows she's dead or not.
I mean,
because
the
of
fact
that death rattle, I'm not sure. But that's the thing. He's so not blackout drunk. Like, bullshit he doesn't know.
Yeah.
No, but no.
Yes. Multiple injuries inside there. Tissue ripped out.
What is that?
Tissue inside. All the insides out on the floor.
What else?
What else? You ripped out the person you love's insides and put them in a pile on the floor. What else?
That's it.
That's the cause of the death?
Yeah. We think.
Why do idiots do that? Like, when Sarah pointed to the laptop and she goes, aside from this, what was the cause of death? That's it. You put him in a suitcase and he died. And he goes, is that the cause of death? Yeah. Ripping out 2/3 of someone's insides is survivable 1% of the time. And this was not one of those, lucky shots.
No.
You know the amount of blood that's in there? Her insides were ripped out. What happened, man?
Seriously, dude.
Right.
What happened?
Fidel, this is not a case of just rough sex.
Yeah.
Okay? This is not a case of rough sex.
If it is, there's something wrong with you
There's blood.
severely.
Everywhere. Everywhere.
Listen, just
Like, if regular sex is like a Japanese bullet train that goes from station to station impeccably, this is, again, the Back to the Future 3 train that ends in a ravine.
Yeah.
I'm just doing whatever she was telling me to do.
she wasn't telling you to do that.
Yeah,
That's-
no
listen,
way.
Fidel, the amount of pain that she would have been in would have been unbearable.
Yeah.
Okay? The amount the doctor just looked inside of her, the amount of pain that she would have had, she wouldn't have been able to withstand it.
I mean, I get a cramp in my side and it hurts. Like, I can't
Seriously.
imagine somebody grabbing my intestines and
I'm
twisting
a
them.
pussy, so I can't say, like, what would or wouldn't be unbearable. But, like, low potassium or magnesium hits, and I get a calf cramp, and I feel like I just fucking put a shotgun under my chin and end it. I can't imagine someone, because here's the thing. We may not get to it, so brace yourself. He not only went in the front door, but the back door to retrieve the goods, if you get my drift.
I mean, I had a baby, and it didn't feel great, but I cannot imagine having my organs being the thing.
Yeah, imagine him like grabbing onto like a couple of corners of your insides and like pulling him out as like a bed sheet as he flies down like a water slide.
We're not saying you intended to.
No one's saying you intended to do it. No one's saying you wanted to.
I hear you.
You didn't intend to rip out her insides. What? How do you not intend to do that?
It would be such a far-fetched accident. Like, let's say the only way this could happen is like, okay, so I'm Fidel Castro and I'm tuna fishing, right? And on the backswing, it's just me and the girlfriend and she's nude sunbathing. On the backswing, I fucking pull back so hard that it embeds inside of her so deep that it grabs multiple organs. And as I cast forward for that killer wicked tuna on the Discovery Channel, it pulls her entire insides out and they fly over me like one of those Indonesian demons that's just a head and guts. The only way that can happen where it could be possibly an accident, and it would be 1 in a quadrillion. Like, I don't think humans could last on Earth long enough for that to become a coincidence.
No.
Listen, I heard the remorse in your voice when you're trying to get help, and I understand that you
the 911 call.
This is someone that you love, but
whatever. You can call that remorse, but it feels like
panic.
No, not even panic. It feels manufactured. Every 911 call that's legitimate from someone who is either a victim or checking on a victim and discovers the body, you can feel it in the marrow of your bones. It's legitimate. Whereas Boone, Lopez, Chandler Halderson, when he reports his parents missing, it feels so paper thin. It's like tracing paper with an alibi on it, but there's a dude behind the paper waving, being like, it's bullshit.
However, there's injuries inside of her that need to be explained.
How can
she
you?
was telling me what I was doing. She told me, do this, do it, man. She was telling me.
I understand, but that's...
Pull my intestines
you
out.
As a human being, you as someone that loves this girl would not be doing that to her, even if she was asking you.
No.
It's, I don't care. I don't care.
Like, the average person would balk at getting, like, their urine involved if someone asked, right?
Right.
Like, imagine you in that situation where you're involved with someone, past or present, and they go, pee on me. That would be a make it or break it moment for people. And that's nothing on the scale of what could be. And Fidel is just like expecting these seasoned detectives to be like, yeah, I don't know, man. The bottle thing came out of left field, but I saw literally nothing wrong with it. And then her intestines fell out.
Well, like, the bottle is one thing. I mean, obviously that's always
But the arm up to the elbow, how do you explain that away?
No,
right?
right. Like, you can, that's like all the way, like his arm would go all the way up to like your heart.
Arm. Yeah, he's going to do it later. So, and we may not get to it, but yeah, think about it. Because he goes, look at my arm from here to here. He's like, put that against yourself. He's like, that's up here.
Yeah.
You were grabbing something and pulling it down. This like a projector screen in a junior high classroom. You were doing it, my friend.
That doesn't make a difference in this situation. Okay? There's serious injury to her. There's things that were done in there, and I think you have a little bit of a conscience, and you were worried. You were worried because you even cleaned the blood off yourself. Okay?
Like, choking is extreme, but that's not instantly fatal.
Right.
It seems instantly fatal. Yeah, grabbing at somebody's heart.
On the level of kinks, there are a lot of things in that playground that, if taken too far, could result in death. But keep in mind, eating too many carrots can kill you.
Yeah.
So just keep that in mind. But Yeah, that's the thing. Most of the things you perform on your partner or you have performed on you during an intimate encounter, there are plenty of fail safes, right? If you like it rough, if you want to be tied up or chained or choked or whipped or whatever, there is like the line between life and death is so wide, it's not even visible by the human eye. We go into a different territory right about here.
Right.
Here's the point of no return, and here's murder, right?
Yeah.
Whoops.
And hey, listen, look, you love this girl.
I love her, man. Of
This is
course.
so I know what happened in there is not something that you expected. Okay, it just things went wrong. Things went bad. But it's important for you to be honest about it.
I don't want to keep being like, oh, can you believe it? But just like in a car accident, I've been more affected by a car accident that I was not at fault of. Like a dude turned through a red light and hit me, and I was more affected. Like I was having trouble relaying the story to the cop immediately after it happened, and no one died.
Yeah.
I didn't kill anybody. Nobody's intestines fell out, and it was rough.
Yeah. So this isn't even a crime that I was a part of. David got pulled over once when we were driving somewhere for speeding. We were going to, I don't know where we were going. California.
Yeah, that was bullshit.
Oh yeah, well it was bullshit, but I was like instant sweating, like freaking out in my head, like oh my god, I've never gotten pulled over before, and I wasn't even driving.
Real crock of shit. Like we were going to California. I think we were going to Disneyland with some friends of the show.
Yeah.
And I had that shit at the speed limit because I had an ST, a Focus ST,
Yep.
and it was cherry red. So not only is it one of those cars that cops love to pull over, but it was a color that cops love to pull over because they're like bulls and red is infuriating. I had it at the speed limit.
75.
Pulled my ass over, and he's like, do you know how fast you were going? I said, I had my speed fucking pegged at 75. What did you have me as? He's like, I had you faster.
Yeah, he said like 80 or 82, and we're like, there's no fucking way,
No
whatever.
Fucking way.
And then he gave
sir.
us the warning, and it said like 77 on it.
It was bullshit.
Yeah.
Moral of the story is that was
freaked
a
out.
non-issue.
Yeah, totally not issue. No murder.
Like we saw a truck rather, roll in front of us, and two old people could have lost their lives in front of us. Like we were shook from that.
Yeah, that was rough. We were on
weren't
our honeymoon.
involved. We didn't pull their intestines out after the accident or anything.
We didn't steal any of their stuff.
Yeah, I didn't punch a hole in their walls or jack shit.
We helped them.
And like still shook. And this guy, you know what? 3-4 handfuls of intestines, and he's like, you know what?
I need a cigarette.
I need a cigarette. Can we chill?
And tell us the truth, because I know you're saying that you put your arm inside of her. I know you're saying that you put bottles inside of her and everything else, but there's more to it. There's more to this.
P.S. I don't know if we're gonna get to it. A hair flattening iron was used. Cannot confirm if it was ever turned on, but it was used.
There's more to the story.
I would certainly hope not. It wasn't turned on. I mean, I would hope it wasn't on anywhere near
pulled
them.
their intestines out, so who knows? Like the icing on the cake is that. But yeah, the amount of props and shit that got crimes of passion are one thing. Theaters of gore are another.
Yes.
And if you really love and care for this girl, and you have a heart.
He does not have a heart.
No.
So that we can have some closure for her. Because listen, there's more to the story than what you're telling us, and there's more that you remember. Okay? I know you're saying you don't, but you remember specific details here and here, but the part in the middle, you're blocking out because it hurts you.
Have you heard of Nancy Brophy? Fidel?
Lies of omission are the most sinister because they're not an affront rather an upfront assault to the intelligence of the person you're lying to. To lie, like to fabricate a lie is one thing because you don't know what the other people know. And if they're the police, they might know everything. A lie of omission is so sinister because they, meaning the person using this tactic, can explicitly say, I know for a fact that XYZ did not happen. But the lie of omission being that the person that they're saying didn't do the thing actually was instrumental in the activity of the thing. So let's say, I know for a fact that I didn't kill anybody, but you're the person who was behind the wheel who had intent, the same intent as the person in the passenger seat who had the .45 who shot the dude 10 times. So you can say, I know for a fact I didn't kill anyone. Truth. 100% true and also factual.
Accessory?
But the fucking problem is you were the wheels that got the ass of the person holding the gun to the murder victim.
Yeah.
The fact that happened, it hurts you that occurred. It's got to be bothering you. I listen. I just saw pictures, and I'm going to show you some pictures in a little bit. Okay?
They're rough.
And
you won't see them
show
here.
you what I just saw. It's devastating. And to do the right thing for her, and the right thing for yourself, and the right thing for her family.
I'll do the right thing. Whatever I have to be done, I'll do it.
Can you imagine this police officer going home to his wife after seeing these pictures of the... I mean, I'm sure this is
not only that,
probably the worst thing he's seen.
Because it's easy to become fooled at that this is I'll liken it to this. There are companies that will sell like a sealed glass bulb with plants and shrimp that is a completely fully functioning ecosystem. And we like to look at interrogation and a crime from start to finish as that. Very few players, very few elements, easily digestible, fun to put on your mantelpiece and talk about. However, that's not how it is. Every person involved lives in the real world. Fidel here has kids.
Right.
He's got parents. He's got aunts, uncles, family members.
And she probably has
she too.
some.
Yeah, of course she comes from a family. But everyone involved in here is simply a node in a network that spans beyond most people's comprehension.
Yeah, I can't imagine being like the criminal photographer.
It's just horrifying because you go, well, think about your parents, think about her parents, think about your kids. And even though in like when we think about friendship, your best friend, their father, their brother, their siblings, their relatives, it's a quasi relationship that you give them the benefit of the doubt of.
Mm-hmm.
But you go, whatever. There's no real impact there, but you get a taste of that web. You see how deep that well goes. And that's no stakes.
Yeah.
When you're inextricably bonded to someone via a crime like this, it's not like, oh, that's the cousin of the friend of the whoever. It's like, hey, yeah, that's the murderer of the family.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just the thing. Like, it's not a glass ball hand blown by an artisan filled with water and a shrimp that can live perpetually until, entropy takes hold. It's an entire ecosystem affected. This is DEET in the water supply. This isn't like, oh, I dropped the ball and the shrimp died.
Yeah.
Tell us the truth of what happened.
I'll tell you the truth. I'll tell you everything what happened. Everything that I remember, that's what I told you.
I know, but there's more that you remember.
No, I don't remember.
You're blocking it out, but there's more that you remember.
It's not that I'm blocking it out.
Fidel, let me ask you a question.
What's that?
Do you Do you want to be looked at as an animal?
How?
Do you want to be looked at as a monster?
Really quick, if you're into the read technique, this is the legacy technique. You attack someone's legacy and say, hey, the last thing you have is a reputation. Because Kayla knows this 100%. Fucking respect among scumbags is the only currency.
Mm-hmm.
Reputation, respect, all of that. Legacy, your name after you die, and your myth, if you will. Because a lot of these people will be like, yeah, I need to have something to pass on. And especially, not for nothing, but like there are cultures out there where legacy is important. Latino culture is one of them where you go, I come from a long line and we got this huge family and no one wants to be a black sheep because, again, not to paint in broad strokes, but like Catholics, Mormons, these people have huge families.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like you're a single child or one of two. And so you've got a very small, you've got dozens of cousins, aunts, uncles, brothers, sisters. Like, holy fuck. That is an ecosystem so large and such a large glob of black. It's going to really affect the hue of every pigment for generations.
Yeah.
Of course
As someone who's careless.
Respect.
Of course
Respect.
not.
Exactly, because I don't think you're that person.
No respect among
I'm
scumbags.
not that person.
Okay.
I have 2 kids and I have my job.
Okay, so listen. That's what we're saying. I don't
Two
think you're a monster either.
kids.
I don't think you intended for any of this to happen.
Of course not.
Okay. But
But at some point,
But
you
at some
got,
point-
at some point you got upset and you became enraged. And
You
there's a point in that
ripped
time
her heart
when
out of her
when
chest.
that happened. Something snapped. Something upset you
No, nothing, man. Nothing.
because
We just-
the damage that you caused in that house.
No, nothing. The reason why she's dead was literally no reason. Not a good strategy.
Not
Like-
really.
The reality is a body exists that is dead. And the hypothetical is, no, not really.
That house was not
Cool.
in that condition prior to all this going on. All of a sudden now there's holes and everything is destroyed. She's got internal injuries that you're saying is just caused from a bottle, and that's not the truth.
The word catastrophic doesn't come up very often in true crime because you have to really go overboard. Like overkill is another term that's used more often than catastrophic, because you can say someone was stabbed a couple of times or shot a couple of times. Any number of wounds in the right place can kill someone. Then you go overkill, where there was too many shots, too many stab wounds. Like, it's death plus plus plus. To have catastrophic injuries is like, that's
Eternal
natural disaster type shit. Like, if you fall into a volcano, catastrophic injuries. Like, you as a criminal have gotten up to the level of natural disaster.
Yeah, he
Like-
ripped her her a bunch of organs out.
Yeah, Jack the Ripper, overkill. Fidel
Lopez.
Lopez, catastrophic.
those injuries,
That's not the truth. There's more that was up inside of her. There's more that was done, and there's no way she could have dealt with that pain without either being unconscious or telling you to stop.
She was.
Him saying that there's more that was up there makes me think that that straightening iron was on, because they wouldn't know that
Well,
that was up
but-
there if it wasn't on.
Well, no, because they tested. I mean, obviously the test haven't come back yet, but there would be blood and everything.
Well, yeah.
So everything that had blood on it, they basically just throw at the wall and they say, "Hey, did you do this? Did you do that?" Because here's the thing: there are types of evidence that are left that you need a lab to say, yes, this was used in this crime. And there are other cases in which your eyes can tell you that.
Yeah, there shouldn't be blood on a straightening iron.
She was talking to me. She was like,
Well,
No,
maybe in your head you're thinking that, but
No.
well, I know she might have been talking at the beginning, but there's some point in time when she's not conscious because what was taken out of her is impossible for
when
you.
she was not conscious, when I get into the bathroom, she was not breathing. She was like this. That's the point, that she was unconscious. But when we doing the stuff, she was talking to me. She was telling me, do it, do it, do it. Keep doing.
Fidel,
Just let down.
this is not rough sex, man. I told you that. This is not. This is a lot more than rough sex.
I know.
Okay,
Yeah.
so if you know, explain to us. Tell us.
I understand.
Tell us.
I did everything she told me to do, man. I don't know.
What else did you put inside of her besides a beer bottle in your fist? What else?
This and the bottle.
What else?
And then that thing that you said for the hair could be possible too.
Could be possible too.
They call it a flat iron
Yeah.
a lot.
It's
Is
a
that
flat
what it's
iron.
called?
It's a flat iron, a straightening iron. It makes your hair flat. That's what it's.
See, straightening iron, I've heard a million times. Flat iron, I associate with steaks. Flat
Oh, yeah.
iron is something that you put on a grill that
yeah,
you then
yeah.
transfer to a steak with tongs.
Yeah, a flat iron is because there's ceramic flat pieces that you use
Right.
to straighten your hair at a high heat.
Still, flat iron feels like steak. Straightening iron feels less like Texas road vagina. You know
It
what I mean?
depends on the. I've only heard straightening iron here and with like hairstylists, but on the East Coast, I hear flat iron.
Yeah, but you call carts carriages, so you guys are fucking crazy back east.
There's the thing for the hair.
What else?
Nothing else that I remember.
What did in the closet? At some point, stuff that's inside of her came out.
And stuff of
Yeah,
her
her stomach was
Part of her body.
Part of her body, tissue, is out inside the closet, on the ground.
How can that be possible, man?
Fuck you, Fidel. You know why I say that? It's not like, oh boy. There's evidence that he knew that he did wrong because, again, he threw clothes over the pile of tissue he pulled from the woman.
I think it's called narrow iron in the middle
Oh,
north.
yeah, the narrow iron.
LOL, I'm a hairdresser. It's flat iron as far as I'm aware. Yeah, see, a lot
God
of
damn it.
hairdressers
Okay,
call
fine.
it flat iron, but I've called it, like, I hear straightening.
I've lived in Arizona my 99.999% of my entire life. Flat iron has always been a steak, and straightening iron has always been for hair.
You never went to a hairdresser and said, can you use the flat iron?
Right. I never went to a lady hairdresser and said, hey, I never had long hair before, so sorry. I don't know a lot about shit.
I'll straighten your hair one day. It's already straight.
It's
so-
straight as hell.
It's only possible by what was going on in there.
And also, if her stomach was out of
find it
there in
hard
the
to believe that
closet,
she
that
got
means
up.
all of the other things below her stomach were either pushed out of the way or also out of there in the
Well-
closet. Because your stomach's up right below your heart.
Right,
so
but again, hold your arm up in the air and take stock of fingertip to elbow.
yeah, I know. But
And let's say,
there's still
like-
intestines that cover your whole abdomen that you have to pull out
right.
with it.
Here's the thing. I don't know how much material was pulled from her. I don't know if it was one handful or several. It was probably several. But the moral of the story is, like, enough material was removed from her that she lost enough blood that her higher brain function went out
yeah,
like
you-
a candle, and her reptilian brain said, "Breathe, stupid."
Yeah. I can't imagine you can breathe. You can live without a stomach.
Like, the implications of a snore, anything is inert. Everything that you come into contact with is nothing until you apply judgment to it. But it's all down to context. If you hear from a bed after you come home from a late shift and that's your partner and it's something you've heard before, you go, oh, it's going to be hard to go to sleep because they snore. If the sound that you're hearing, that sound in particular, is coming from a person who's jammed in between a toilet and a
Bathtub.
tub, and you just washed a quart of blood off your hands, I'm a big proponent of implicit versus explicit, and the power of implicity. It isn't needed here. It was all explicit.
Yeah.
Walked to the bathroom after
She
what
walked to
happened
the
to her
bathroom.
inside the closet.
22 minutes. Hey, we've gone through 9 whole minutes since the last time we stopped.
To the bathroom.
I mean, I'm surprised she didn't.
Over the
bleed out in
course of an
closet.
hour.
She bleed.
No, like bleed out, like not be able to breathe and pass away in the closet from the amount of blood that she lost.
No, she was in the bathroom. She told me she wanted to throw up.
Really quick, I think that's the major aspect of it is like the mechanism for the brain, the higher brain function shutting down, and the autonomic stuff happening is due to blood loss, because the higher function, because breathing is one of those things where it is partially voluntary. You can take control of it yourself, but if you forget about it, it falls to the control of a different part of your brain.
Mm-hmm.
And so when the conscious part is completely checked out, that's where we're at. And it's due to blood loss, because your reptilian brain or your base brain, the stuff that's responsible for keeping you alive that you don't have to check in with, takes a lot less energy, because it's how do I want to describe this? It's a computer that has one program that needs a certain amount of energy constantly.
Mm-hmm.
It says, hey, your consciousness may take control of your diaphragm sometimes. By and large, when it checks out, this is what you do. And your heart is the same way. But your heart, you don't get to check in and out of. So your heart is always in that area. It's just so... I don't know why I keep harping on it, because it's heartbreaking, because it's your body completely devoid of intelligence. It is simply the last vestiges of evolutionary, what do I call it? Instinct or drive at life. Like, even after all of your higher, like, the desire to live is gone, extinguished, right? Like, she's lost enough blood where her brain is dead. She can no longer have any hopes, dreams, fears, or any of that.
Yeah.
The last little bit of you is like, no, we got to keep this shit going, because it's a Commodore 64 left in a factory where everyone was fired from and all the machines were off, but this computer was left on.
When I
Did
come
you
back,
did you drag her to the bathroom?
No, she was normal. She was like,
That's
bullshit.
not.
He definitely physically moved her to the bathroom, because there was no way she was conscious or able to. Duh.
Maybe normal. No,
Like,
she could have been normal because her insides are on the floor.
she was
Fidel.
walking.
Okay.
She
No.
was walking to the bathroom.
Nope.
When you put your hand inside of your fist, were you? I'm not trying to be funny when I do this. I'm asking. Were you doing this?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so you can't see it because my face is in the way, but he's doing this action.
A fisting motion.
And here's the thing. Obviously, what I would say is, were you doing this? The fingers moving. Obviously, this is a facsimile, so it's going to have lateral movement. The finger movement is the important part.
Yeah.
When you pulled your hand out, did you have anything in your hand?
I don't know. Blood,
Money?
I guess.
Anything else? Do you feel anything in your
I
hand?
don't know, but I
Blood,
remember,
I
like,
guess.
You know,
Squish.
I guess. Squishy things?
That would have been like.
No, yeah.
If she. Okay.
That's the
'cause-
problem with this narrative, is like, there's no way. You see the time, or maybe you don't really see the time, but you can kind of see it here. It is 9:29 p.m.
Oh, it's PM?
I think, because
I thought it was like
they
AM, like
just
the next morning.
they just pulled him in here after the 911 call,
Oh, yeah. Okay.
so it has to be 9 p.m.
Mm-hmm.
What's up, Decon?
Hey.
What's happening, dude? So yeah. Again, they pulled him out of the apartment and directly to here, basically. This isn't days, weeks, months. They didn't gather evidence. This is it.
Well, my thing is, like, okay, you're in, like, you're in the mood, whatever. You're doing the thing. She's like, hey, I want to try this crazy thing called fisting. Like, the moment you take blood
Right.
into that factor, I'm out.
But here's the thing. This isn't... Yeah, okay, so here's the thing. Again, everything that is possible has to be granted. So there must have been consensual sexual encounters that went from 0 to 100 very quickly that resulted in injury.
I'm sure. Yeah.
But in those cases, I would think the majority that aren't prosecuted come across as chaotic good. We discussed this already.
Yeah. No one took their stomach out while they were doing it.
I mean, even with Fidel here, he can go, okay, well, the propeller midgets, they're flying around. I got to do some artwork.
Yeah.
I'll think about that later. But whatever. Moral of the story is you have to paint yourself as remorseful and an accident. There's no other way to do it. Like, I don't remember defense works if, like, you were drugged heavily and they can test you.
Yeah.
Like, if you're acting weird, like, there should be a bunch of things in place to say if you're acting weird in a interrogation like this, they'll do a blood draw, they'll do a urine test, okay, until you're sober, we can't do this.
Right.
He's exhibiting zero signs that he is inept in this situation.
Mm-hmm.
So that's where we're at, is like, there are times when they go, okay, like the kid who killed the couple in the garage and like ate their face off and like whatever. He was, roids and a bunch of other stuff. Who knows? It's a chemical cocktail that nature, nurture, yada, yada. We talked about it before. It doesn't fucking matter.
Yeah.
The fact is the fact. But we're living in an age where the gold standard is still the confession. And we're stuck banging our head against the wall of, I don't remember when. I mean, the average person cannot accept that half a bottle of tequila results in the most horrific murder they've probably ever heard of.
No.
We have 40 bottles of mead in that room right over here off camera. I could drink them all. I would die. I wouldn't kill anybody.
You definitely die.
I would die. But that just goes to show, like, the old saying in vino veritas is legit. Doc Holliday said it. Most famously, everybody who's watched that movie or wants to be an asswipe in a bar has said it. It's true. I don't think that certain alcohols are the specific key to unlock rage. I think that any alcohol can do it because your higher brain functions are shut down.
Yep.
You're less yourself, you're more impulse, you're more animal, you're more short term, which is a bummer because tens of thousands, possibly hundreds of thousands or millions of years have all culminated in this higher brain function that you can snuff out with $22 worth of booze. Yikes, right? You remember Doc Holliday saying that? Huckleberry Hound. They're still treating him like he's special needs.
And they're still treating her like she's alive.
Well, that's not unusual. Every interrogation where the person is dead and the suspect doesn't know they're dead is played literally until the last second.
But he does.
He doesn't know.
He asked if that was the cause of death.
Oh, no, he does. Okay, so yeah, but whatever. This is just sort of mishandling. It's... Crap, I forgot where I was going with that. But...
Sorry.
Whatever, sorry. Oh, no, they're still treating him like a special needs kid. But, like, He's smart. Oh, is it muted? It might have been muted. Sorry.
I'm not.
Oops.
Because you're not a murderer. You're not a killer. This is not you. Okay? But you have to be honest with what happened in there so that we can put the pieces together.
Everything I've been telling you is everything I know.
But there's some things that you're leaving out. There's
I'm
some
not
things.
leaving anything
There's some
out.
things that you're leaving out because you're afraid. You're afraid that it's going to make you think that it's going to make you look bad. It's going to make other people look at you bad. But you know what's going to happen? If you're not honest and tell us what actually occurred in that house, and we're trying to put all this together, that shows that maybe, you know what, maybe he is a bad person. Maybe he is a cold-hearted killer. Maybe he doesn't love her. And I don't think that's you.
That's not me,
It's
man.
not you. I know you have care and concern for
This tactic is used bar none. I feel like it's because it's easy. It's like the read technique has so many facets and so many, what would you call them? Because it's the read technique, but there are so many sub techniques
Within the read
within
technique.
the read technique that can do so many things. And you have to do this thing where you go, I know you're not the thing that you are. But it works, right? Because here's the thing. You're going to see yourself in the best light possible because even those who aren't delusional are going to give themselves the benefit of the doubt unless we start getting on the other side of that scale where you're like self-deprecating to like a legitimate degree, but we'll not worry about that. Most people from like the middle up into narcissist are going to see themselves as blameless in most situations. But it takes a lol-cow level resolve to look into reality and be like, yeah, I am a good guy. Like, I had to pull those intestines out of the front and the back door. We haven't gotten to it, but I don't want you to forget. He stuck his hand in the front and the back door.
Yeah, that's
to
crazy.
pull out the contents of the house.
Yeah.
this girl. All right? Do you love this girl?
Of course, babe.
Okay. Would you do anything to hurt her?
Of course not.
Bullshit.
But you did.
Totally did.
And I'm not leaving anything out of this, man.
But you
Everything
did.
I have
You
telling
understand that you hurt her.
Right now, I understand. Everything you told me.
Real quick, because he's I'm not leaving anything out. Like Sarah Boone and George, I believe this took place, like neighbors testify that this took place over a period of time. And that's what you can't gloss over, like especially in an apartment building or condo complex or whatever. Walls are paper thin, corners are cut, prices are high. You can hear your neighbors.
Yeah. I'm sure.
So to be like, okay, so we had sex, yada, yada, yada. She's in the bathroom, stuck between the toilet and the tub, breathing her death rattle, and I don't know what happened. Maybe that's another facet of this too that I haven't really weighed. Is like if this took place in a private residence, not an apartment complex, there may be less to go on. But like with Sarah Boone and Fidel here, there are people in literally every direction of the sphere.
Right. Yeah.
But you knew.
Right now.
But you know you did because you saw the blood.
Yeah, I
Blood
saw
is
the
not
blood.
normal. Blood from sex
Not
is not
normal.
That
No.
amount of blood is not normal. Okay.
Did the injuries that were caused to her, she didn't do them to herself,
Of course not.
and there was no one else in the apartment.
It was me.
It was you.
I know.
Okay.
I know that.
It was me.
So
At least he knows that.
explain to us how part of her insides, part of her inside of her body.
Here's the thing. I realize why we're hammering home the gore of like aspect of it. Because they're like, hey man, we don't really understand, or we don't think you really understand, rather, the horror of the situation. Where I think he totally knows. Stop hammering that home. Let's talk to motive. I don't think maybe I'm wrong, but have they said that she said her ex-husband's name yet?
No.
Hammer that. Let's get over the mechanics of the crime, right? When everybody knows how an internal combustion engine works, we don't need a step-by-step instruction of how the gas goes through the line to the cylinder, is exploded by the spark plug, which is then pushed out by the piston and out through the exhaust pipe. Who gives a fuck? We're here to diagnose the problem, not a regular working engine. Look at the motive.
Listen,
The problem.
Why did you wash your hands? Why did you wash
Because I
your hands?
went outside to smoke a cigarette.
Because there was
Why-
blood on
You
them.
cleaned up more than just the amount of blood that's in that apartment, all over the walls and on the floor. You had a lot more blood than just on your arm.
Yeah.
You had a lot more blood than just on that right arm.
Remember, he
No,
changed
it
clothes.
didn't taste me, man. I don't even have soap in my hand. It's just put water and wash the hand.
Where else was?
So here's the thing. I don't know. No, I'm pretty sure I do know. Luminol is a highly toxic chemical, which is why when they spray it on crime scenes, they typically have like,
A whole hazmat suit.
yeah,
kind of.
like Tyvek suits and shit. But if there were a chemical that it was human safe that they could spray on someone, he'd probably light up like a Christmas tree.
Oh, yeah.
Because I believe he did not use soap. He probably did just use water because he was drunk as fuck, knowing what he was doing regardless. But even with bleach, you can see where blood was. So if they did, and they don't, have a human-safe chemical, like just imagine throwing Fidel in a room like that was mostly set up like a spray tan place that sprayed like non-toxic luminol, put on the little eye goggles, and they go, shh. He would be fucking blue on face, chest, arms.
Yeah.
It would be a nightmare and it would be game over.
Yep.
And when we get that chemical or whatever the agent is that is human safe, it very well happen. Like we may just one day see a cylindrical law enforcement tube that swirls you around like a spray tan, but with like safe luminol. Because that's what, like, who wouldn't love to see that? To see his blue fucking arms and probably face and shirt and like, because it had to get everywhere.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Like, the disconnect would be enough for most people, I believe, because when you see a luminescent blue color and you go, okay, your brain has to take the step to go blue, luminol, blood, horror. But if you straight up saw him covered in blood that wasn't glowing, you'd go, oh my God, that's fucking horrifying.
Yeah.
It's a nice level of removal. But again, it doesn't exist.
Blood on your body.
I don't know, just my hand. Maybe this one. But
Both hands?
this one is the one this one is the one I use.
Your right arm?
Yeah, this
Okay.
one.
But did you have blood on that arm too?
Maybe if I touch myself for here,
What about your legs?
the legs on the floor.
Well, you had to have blood in your legs because there's
My leg's on the floor. What? Fidel, you can't chalk that up to like a language barrier. Yeah.
No. Yeah.
Legs on the floor. And yeah, but the detective is right. Because of the amount of blood soaking into the carpet, he would have had it all over his feet.
Yeah.
So not only
They could probably put luminol on his
none
shoes.
of this happened. He'll eventually admit to it, but yeah, he would have had blood in his feet, blood in his hands, blood in his clothes, which is why he changed or took off his outerwear and washed not only his hands but his feet. And again, in the future, God willing, we will have that human safe chemical where we'll have like the stinger on this interrogation footage of like, hey, P.S. after the fact, we sprayed him down and here he is, a Smurf, essentially, like the ghost of a Smurf.
Yeah.
blood all over the floor.
It's the blood on the floor. That's what I have. That's what I have blood on my
Yeah, but you
leg.
don't have really a lot of blood on your legs. Did you go into the shower and wash off?
No.
Because you said you put the shower on.
To put water on her face because she wasn't breathing. It's when I called the police.
Let's add
What
water.
about a towel? Did you use a towel
I know. I don't use no
to
towel.
dry
so-
off, to
Mm-mm.
wipe anything down?
I don't think so. I don't
No,
know.
it's important that you
I don't think so. I don't remember. I don't use nothing, man. I don't use no towers or something like that.
Fidel, when
after you called 911 the first time and the phone went down. You say you dropped the phone or you disconnected because they couldn't get the address, correct?
Yeah.
What did you do from that point to?
That's another aspect of this is like during the 911 call, since it is a new apartment, he doesn't know the address and he's like, oh my God, baby, please.
Don't they have that like
Depending on the municipality, you can't say don't they because they is a zillion different cookie cutter slices across the nation. So some do and some don't. But yeah, by and large, you can trace someone's location via cell phone.
Yeah.
But
if they have their location on?
Yeah, it's kind of frustrating because whatever, emotions are running high. It's hard to get an address, especially if you're going to lie. But on top of that, he doesn't know. So
yeah. I mean, I didn't know our address here for a long time.
There's a lot of things about this case where change the context slightly and you go super guilty. But there's just enough to be like, okay, well, it's not that he's not super guilty.
Yeah.
But in any other case, like, let's say the Broken Arrow murders where the Bevers that were killed by their 2 kids and like the whole family was slaughtered. They should know their address, right? Like someone 13-year-old who almost got killed called. Like if she's like, I don't know where I live, that's a red flag.
Yeah.
When the police got there.
Try to wake him up. Try to give her CPR or something. She wasn't breathing.
Okay.
Not breathing at all.
Did she ever ask for help?
I don't think he ever gave her CPR.
Probably not.
Her? No, she was a...
Did she ever tell you to stop or that she was in pain or hurting?
Never.
Every time he reenacts her death rattle, it's chilling because, again, he doesn't know the reality that is an autonomic response of the nervous system in a last-ditch effort to save a physical body.
Mm-hmm.
She was talking, like, keep going. That's it. But she never told me, stop. I don't know. I don't even know how fucking shit from her body come out of there. Really don't know. I mean,
well, listen. You see that, right?
Yeah.
All the way here. Have you...
Seriously?
Yeah.
Again, like I'm a tall guy, so my arm may be disproportionate to yours. But by and large, the human trunk cannot withstand 12 to 24 inches of appendage.
No.
Put your whole...
At least not without extreme practice.
...arm inside her. You were up inside her stomach. Correct? No, I mean, I'm just saying, think realistic. If you're putting your whole arm inside her, where's your hand at that point? It's not in her vagina anymore, right?
I understand.
It's up inside her stomach.
And when he says stomach, that's like no hyperbole, because if you think about it, everybody pats their belly when they're hungry, right? You say, oh, I'm hungry. You say your stomach is down by your belly button. Your stomach is actually like pretty high up.
It's right below your heart, which is right in the middle of your rib.
Your stomach is, I mean, you can't see on camera because it's right off camera, but it's pretty high.
Yeah.
Look at one of those. If you're lucky, maybe you had one of those anatomical models where you could put the organs in.
Mm-hmm. It's like up in your ribs. Like it's in the middle, in between your ribs. Yeah, up there.
It's up there. So you have to go through multiple layers and levels and...
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. He had to, like, if they were like, oh, her stomach was out of her body, well, then so was everything else underneath.
Here's the thing. The vaginal tract is essentially a dead end. Like, if you ever try to take an RV on a dirt bike path... You'll realize they don't fit. I don't know. It's fucking absurd because the only way you can describe like ignoring all the signs that you're going too far with your arm is like getting behind the wheel of the aforementioned RV, driving out into the desert, getting to the end of the paved road, hitting a dirt road, realizing the dirt road is gone, and now you're on like animal trails, but you refuse to give up because you have 36 feet of like Windcraft pride with like a 4-burner oven or stove or whatever, and you're like, I refuse to give up.
Yeah, I'm gonna push through. And
Fuck
he
that.
apparently did.
Well, why she didn't tell me to stop or something?
We don't know. And the stuff.
Yeah, we literally
and the
to this
part of
day
her
do
body
not know.
From her insides that's on the floor, it's not. It wouldn't just fall out of her. It would have to be pulled out of her.
I didn't pull anything, man. Like,
I mean,
There's no way you didn't. Here's the thing. Because context is key, and I'm a very big proponent of context being as heavily weighted as subject. So let's say his girlfriend is 85, right? Sure. The fastenings are old. They're loose. The zip ties, the screws, they're coming loose from their moorings, and shit's going to fall out, right?
prolapse.
Prolapse is a thing. He wasn't dating an 80-year-old.
And a stomach doesn't prolapse.
She was in her like there's no way you're gonna prolapse major organs out of your body.
Bladders, yes.
But a case could be made that a 24 and an 80-year-old maybe blasted her internal organs out. She was in her 30s. Everything should be still firmly implanted in all the places they should be.
Yeah.
When she had, where was it that she had trouble breathing?
in the bathroom.
In the bathroom.
So she
Well,
was
she
fine
lost
in
a
the
lot of
closet?
blood.
Yeah, she was fine.
Between the toilet and the
She was-
bathtub.
She was okay. Let me get. She was wrong, just like mine.
Not
just
fine in
like
the
me.
closet.
But I said in the bathroom is when I get nervous. She wasn't breathing.
Was she coherent?
Huh?
Was she like awake during that time? I
Yeah, she
you know,
was.
you're saying drunk, but was she? Did she know?
Now,
P.S. No, she was not alive. She was not awake. She was not verbalizing anything beyond her reptilian brain desperately trying to keep her meat suit alive. That's all there is to it. But lies of omission can work their way into be like, yeah, she was talking. But the thing of it is, she was talking at dinner 4 hours before I pulled her guts out.
Yeah.
I'm not going to tell you that part.
At one point in the night, she was talking.
What was going on?
Of course. She was the one that told me put the bottle on me.
I don't.
The bottle thing is possibly the only thing that walks the line of credulity.
Yes.
Because if somebody's going to get freaky, of all the things offered or put forth during this interrogation footage, between, like, let's say, okay, a bottle, a man's arm up to the elbow, a flat iron or a straightening iron, or any other accoutrement out there. I mean, if you're stupid and don't understand the principle of a vacuum, the bottle could be a thing, right? You go, okay, the neck of a beer bottle, I don't understand vacuums. It's roughly the shape of a dong. It gets deeper, or rather a girthier toward the
Yeah.
middle, so go nuts, right? I can see a stupid or drunk person saying that. And that alone.
Yeah.
I understand.
She was the one that told me use your hand. I mean, of course, I wouldn't do it if she wouldn't told me that.
Yeah, I know.
I
She
never-
said to put your hand, but you put your arm.
Listen,
Listen, you know, when you put your arm in someone and go up inside their intestines, that's damaging.
That's murder.
That's damaging. It's not sexual. That's torture.
Is it possible that she passed out while you had your arm inside of her?
no, she was awake. She was like having fun, like you know, like having fun.
It was a total party, man. I was like, hey, baby, check out 2 feet of your lower intestines. And she was like, sick, brah.
It's not like
Doubt
a
it.
scream of pain or something, like just having fun. You know, like that's how come I.
Okay, here's a concept that most people still have trouble with, but I'll tell you. If you're not a parent, it can be difficult to discern screams of pain, like legitimate screams of pain from a child, versus a fake cry. It's just a matter of experience. You need to be exposed to something to realize or be able to discern the signs of like legitimate, what do I want to call it? Like, I don't want to say the pain, but like legitimate distress versus a cry for attention.
Yeah.
There are very few places where that line is thick. Because if you're not a parent, it's easy to see a child freaking out and be like, they're hurting or they're in pain or they're whatever. Because if you don't know, you don't have experience, the line between acting like an asshole in public and being in legitimate physical or emotional pain, wide berth. As soon as you get a little experience, you know instantly by the pitch, the tone, the sound, the expression, you go, that's legit, that's fake.
Yeah.
However, there is one thing that escapes all experience. The sound of human misery beyond children. When you hear someone experiencing pain as an adult, you know it.
Mm.
A kid can be a convincing bullshit artist because that's their job. Their job is to manipulate you to their end. But an adult, it's going to be easier to discern because the gravity is there. Do you know what I mean?
Yes. Yeah.
Anus prolapse is right, Paulie. Sometimes they just fall out.
Yeah.
Whoops! Hit the floor of the shower.
Were you upset at her?
No, I was. Of course not.
You were upset at something.
I completely calmly reached into a woman I loved and pulled her insides out. Hello?
Totally normal.
I'm not angry.
Man, you were angry.
Listen, like I explained to you.
I mean, you're feeling no pain because you're punching holes in walls and doors and everything else and breaking glass.
Your new apartment is fucked, P.S.
I don't remember when I don't know of that bad. I know I did it, but I don't know why, and I don't.
Every time I look at the chat now, P.S. This has nothing to do with the interrogation. When I look at the chat, I see anus prolapse. I see anus apocalypse. Thank you, Polly, for that.
Remember how with what I break the door. I know maybe the holes with my hand, but like I explained to you earlier, I have that temperature. She knows. She will live in all the places, and she knows I do the same thing.
So real quick, I know that like the thing about there's two sides of the racism coin where like us on the outside of it, like I as a white guy can make racist things, but you can do it both ways because like he's doing right here. I feel like this is a crutch or a victim card where he goes, I get hot. And it's not too far away from what I've heard a zillion times. I've got a hot Latin temper. And like, that's fine if you're just annoying at parties or like you're aggressive with political opinions. It's hard to be like, yeah, I'm a fiery Latin stallion when at the end of the day, there's a corpse. Because we all know, let's be real, they walk the line of asshole. And whether you can say, oh, I'm Italian, this is my thing, or I'm a Latino, this is my thing, or I'm just an asshole and this is my thing. There's any way to describe and justify it. And thanks to human hypocrisy, that's fine. We get to be hypocrites because nobody is getting harmed aside from just like an awkward or infuriating at most social interaction. You can't take that into the big leagues, and sadly, this is the big
I
leagues.
understand.
You know?
I understand. But then at that point, I think maybe the rage when you guys are having sex continued. I think it continued
No,
because
her.
you shoved your fist up into her stomach, inside her guts.
You know why I think she was passed out when you had your fist inside of her? I'll explain to you why.
Why?
Because what came out of her insides, there's no way she could have been conscious and not been in horrible, horrible, horrible
You
pain.
explained to me, it's from, of course, inside of her body. But why, when I pull my arm and
You obviously pulled it out.
No, I don't grab anything. I mean, just put my hand. That's it.
No,
Do
you
this.
put your arm up to here.
Yeah.
Okay, like he just said. Look how far that is.
I know.
Okay.
I know, but I don't grab anything and put it back. If it comes something out of there, I really don't know. I mean, oh man.
I think the other thing that is the issue here is like the complexity of the acts. All right, good. Thanks for showing up, Polly. I'm glad we had you for as long as we did. But the complexity of the acts is the problem. Because a crime of passion or inebriation, you can say, well, shot, stabbed, whatever. Once it goes to, I mean, yeah, let's make it simple. The crime itself was horrific and probably prolonged, and there were many chances to stop. I can't believe you're still here, Allison Marie Armstrong. The problem we get into is like the cleanup and how much time you spend before you contact authorities. Like Sarah Boone didn't necessarily clean anything up, but she called her ex-husband before she called the cops. And she didn't call her ex-husband immediately.
Right.
The implications are there.
Did you guys get in an argument because she thought she was pregnant?
No, of course not. Oh, I wish you could be pregnant, man.
Well, maybe if it was yours, maybe she was pregnant by somebody else. I don't know.
They're literally throwing anything at the wall to see what sticks. They said, is there another guy? Was she pregnant? Was she pregnant by another guy? Like, again, I'm an idiot and not smart, nor have I gone through any training or expertise under my belt do I possess in this situation. However, living around humans and taking a intense interest in them, I know a thing or two about them. And I would hammer on that because our weak points are where we break. Duh, obviously. So don't hammer on what you did, where her intestines are now, what you used to clean your arms, whether soap was there or not, whether you remember or not. Let's shut the fuck up about all of that and focus on motive. Because do the stereotypes if you need to. Say you're a man, you're Latino, blah, blah, blah. Get that motive. We need something. Yeah, that's what humans want. You, me, and everybody watching this wants the reason why. Not how you felt, not what your hands were grabbing, not all and sundry. What they're getting at is why did you do this? But they're fucking beating a trail around this bush 4 miles wide. She said her ex-husband's name, hypothetically, twice. If you're a controlling dude and booze is there and a bunch of other stuff, let's hammer that home. Maybe you snapped because of that. Let's stop talking about how far your forearm disappeared. Fucking relevant.
She was pregnant?
I don't know. I'm asking you. Is there a conversation?
She's not pregnant.
I have no idea.
She's not pregnant.
That's why this sounds so stupid. I have literally no time to prepare. I'm throwing everything at the wall. All the spaghetti is on the floor so far. Give me some help here, Fidel.
She's faithful. How do you say? She don't cheat on me. I mean, like she's a good girl. She's a perfect girl, man. She's my love. You know, and I don't cheat.
I
on
don't
her.
doubt for 1 second you love her. But we have to figure out, and we have to make some sense of what happened here, because this is not rough sex. Okay?
I understand.
But I'll offer you this. This is as... What's the word I want to use? Like, the concept is closure, right? What you want is, out of these things, you want the concept of closure. You want a pattern of human behavior that you can relate to. You did this, the pressure built, or you're crazy and you snapped, or whatever. We want a logical through line. But we don't get that in some cases, because it doesn't exist. Like, there are, recently I came across, there's humans are finally waking up to the idea that animals also like to kill for fun. And the biggest psychopaths on the planet possibly can be considered the killer whales, because there's footage of them out there, and I'll speak of one specifically, where a pod of killer whales decide to take a giant stingray minding its own business and flip it out of the water repeatedly, tormenting it utterly until it expires, for no other reason than for the fuck of it. The pod did not exploit the creature for meat, and after it had died, they still played with the corpse. And as a human, you go, that's ethically and morally blah, 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 blah. Sure, of a higher brain function, sure, yeah, we can say, well, ethically and morally, and plus we have laws and stuff. But to an animal, there's no such thing as, they don't have agreed upon rules. So if a bunch of bullies want to fuck up the day of something and kill it, we go, oh, that's fucked. If it were a human, we'd get you the fullest extent of the law.
Allison asks, has he ever had any other statements on the crime other than this interrogation? I never looked up any trial footage. Wasn't sure if it was
I don't know. Honestly, I don't know. I've not looked into trial footage either. I've just seen images of him as he was working through. Because again, you can see this is in 2015. There are plenty of images after the fact where he's going through, and he does one of the two things you can do. When you get sent to prison, you're either going to drop weight like you're in a concentration camp, or you're going to gain weight like you now live at a Golden Corral buffet. And he gained weight like fucking crazy. There's a picture of him in his orange and white striped jumpsuit where he probably put on 70 pounds. Wow. So that's the thing. You go in and you're going to have a massive shift. Like Donald Hartung. His interrogation footage, he is a portly gentleman that looks like, yeah, I probably hit Whataburger, Burger King 4 to 5 times a week. By the time his trial rolls around, he looks like he was just pulled out of a ditch that someone got to him in the nick of time, where like someone had a gun against his head and is like, time to go. Like, he looks like sucked out. So that's the thing. You either dive into the carbs because that's all you get in prison, or you don't eat because you're fucking terrified of where your life is going to go.
Her guts, I don't know what else word to use. Her insides were ripped out of her. That doesn't happen by a beer bottle.
Oh yeah.
I know.
Okay,
Of course
because the
not.
beer bottle's not broken or cut. It's not. There's no sharp edges to it. It didn't.
Okay. Of course, there's always an example that like proves the rule but also breaks it. Joel Guy Jr. Joel Guy Jr. went in a potato, came out the same potato, to trial, went in the same potato. I'll be damned. Most of the time you see dudes get sucked out or blow up. Joel Guy Jr. was like, you know what? I'm going to maintain a constant 265 because fuck you. I don't give a shit.
Break inside of her. I asked you that. You said no. Okay.
I don't think it breaks inside.
Okay, so real quick. Just as a human, divorce yourself from the feeling that he must have had in his hand as he was ripping out the guts, right? Keep in mind, the human organism is a highly adept instrument and has many senses. So he would have to cut out not only the direct line to his brain that is touch, right? To disconnect that, the horror of that. But also the sense of sight, what he was seeing, which must have been horrifying. The sounds that would, like, divorced of context. If you just heard a audio recording of no voices, but the acts that were performed on this woman, your mind would break. So you're going to have to divorce yourself from feeling it, seeing it. God knows you're smelling it. You're hearing it. Holy fuck. The only thing you're not doing potentially is tasting it. And that's dicey.
It was good. The bottle was.
And which end of the bottle went inside of her?
I really, to be honest, I don't remember. I really don't.
Were you holding the top, the part you drink? Were you holding that in your hand?
I don't remember, man. I know I used the bottle.
Right.
I know I used it, but don't.
I don't. Again, this is the prisoner's dilemma where you live in this paradox where you can confidently state, yeah, I definitely have a concrete memory of using a bottle sexually on another person. So when the follow-up question is, how are you holding it? When the answer is, I don't remember, it feels a little bit like Mentos in Diet Coke, where you go, what?
And from the table, how big's a beer bottle? About that big?
It was a meter like or close like bottle.
With
A
long
meter?
neck?
Yeah.
Okay, so it's about what, that tall?
Something like that.
Okay, so the whole bottle went inside of her?
No, the whole. I was holding it.
Well, you were holding it.
Yep, but I don't know.
Where?
all the
Were
way
you
down to you.
holding
Okay.
it?
From the back or from the top. I really don't know, man.
Again, just really quick, we talked about the vacuum thing, but this again would be easy to delineate because devil's advocate, if you shove the butt end of the bottle in, there's less chance of a vacuum. There's a little concave area at the bottom of that bottle, so you might see a little bit of something going on there. But it would be like driving through a puddle on a city street versus quicksand in sub-Saharan Africa.
It'd be like putting your fist in somebody.
Like it would, like pulling a feather out of a water puddle versus trying to pull an elephant out of quicksand. It would be noticeably different. Asterisk. Hypothetically, I've never been in a situation where I've inserted either side of a beer bottle into a person. I'm just extrapolating based on physics and other, stories from the ER and shit like that. Fart. I hate these commercials. So I hope now that we're this far into it, has this been as lightly disgusting as possible? I realize we're probably gonna have to call it here pretty quick because we are rolling through real time. let's do some math. Okay, so if we started at 52 minutes and we're now an hour and 29 minutes in, how many minutes of
7 minutes of actual
woo? So we are roughly running a 1-to-5 ratio real time versus interrogation footage. Allison Brie says she can go another hour, but Jesus Christ. Let's okay. Yeah, I'm getting slap happy, so let's I'm gonna give it another 8 minutes of real time, and if nothing pops, then we'll call it. But if something crazy happens, we'll stick it out. But I've seen this a number of times. Nothing crazy I don't think is in store. We've seen all the crazy stuff so far, save for the revelation of he used the back door as well as the front. But spoiler alert, given everything that's hidden, they haven't whipped out the photos yet. I mean, it feels like a bag of sand hitting a tile floor. Once the sound is over, there's no emotional impact.
I remember, man. I'm fucking telling you everything. I remember, like, almost exactly how it is.
Almost is the key.
Exactly.
Almost is the
I
key.
don't remember everything.
But I think you do. I think there's a point that you're trying to block out because it's now it's burning you up because of what happened. And you're thinking back right now thinking, wow, I can't believe I did something like that. But it wasn't you. You weren't in your right state of mind. You wouldn't intentionally hurt her, right?
Listen, there's nothing inside of me that I'm not telling you. Everything that I know.
Again, I really want to hammer this point home. I think that the Latin phrase, Marcus Aurelius, everybody during that time seemed to have their fucking finger on the pulse of humanity. And when you are intoxicated, the truth of who you are at your core comes out, which can be fucked. Like, I'm 3 sheets to the wind right now. I don't mind telling you that I've finished 2 glasses of mead and I'm this far away from spiraling off of reality itself. I don't feel violent. I've never felt like in this state I've wanted to act in such a way that I want to cause physical or emotional or bodily any sort of harm to anybody. Because when the layers of who you are, when the layers that you put up between the outside world and who you are stripped away, here you are. And so if you become a violent prick, whether it's tequila or whiskey or whatever, that's there. It's like buying a mystery mirror. Go to Goodwill, something has a beautiful frame, it's labeled a mirror, there's nothing reflective on its surface. It's your prerogative to take that thing home and wipe all the shit off. I forget why I was making that analogy, but it was good, right?
Yeah. It's everything that you know. Okay? I'm not hitting nothing. I'm not. I prefer to pay 20 years on jail, just for for her family to be okay, and they don't think I'm a monster.
I don't think you're a monster.
No one thinks you're a monster.
I don't.
But you have to be.
Bullshit. We all think you're a monster. But this does give sort of distant echoes of a couple of cases. The Kevin Davis case, who he killed his mom, and the Jared Murray case. Because they both get, or at least I'm pretty sure they both get asked these questions. And Kevin Davis is probably the most iconic because his interrogators, I'm pretty sure it's Florida. And it's a bizarre turn of situation because his interrogators are Hispanic, and since they're in Florida, possibly Cuban. But in Kevin Davis's case, he killed his mom, sexually violated her corpse, and did a bunch of crazy shit to her. So the baffled older detective, just like in the Jared Murray case, goes, okay, well, you've owned up to all the horrifying facts. Let me throw something at you. 5 years probation, 10 years in the pen, 20 years in the pen, 100 years in the pen. It's that prisoner's dilemma where you go, what do you think the person who committed this deserves? Except the hypotheticals are gone. It's not like, hey, your wife is dead. If we find the person who did it, what should they get? It's like, what do you deserve? And in cases like, in lesser cases like Fidel here goes, put me in jail for 20 years, or with Kevin Davis where he goes, yeah, throw me away and lock away the key. I should be tortured and I should suffer for the rest of my life, even though he's divorced from the emotion. Intellectually, he goes, yeah. I killed my birth mother, had sex with her corpse. Intellectually, I deserve punishment. Emotionally, I just got tired of running and turned myself in.
Be honest and help us put the pieces together from point A to B. You're giving us here, and then there's a gap, and then you're giving us after. That time in between, from that closet to that bathroom, something happened from the closet to the bathroom.
Again, lies of omission, when they're used against you, hurt more than lies of pure bullshit. Because if someone were to make up a lie, they are burning calories, essentially. They're taking time, energy, and effort to craft a tale to get you to believe something contrary to what you should, according to them. So when there's calories burned, that feels in a strange, sick way more meaningful because there's effort. You are worth enough to this person to fabricate something from whole cloth. Whereas people who lie to you through omission don't even see you, at least in my opinion, don't see you as enough of a asset, in this case necessarily, to justify their behavior. Say, well, I went to Burger King and then I went home. Or I went to Burger King, I was attacked, had to defend myself, and 4 people died. Which feels worse? Trying to justify yourself as the hero after the fact or the victim or whatever, or just leaving it out because you're not worth even bullshit.
You're leaving out.
Yikes.
Okay? You guys drank. You had an argument.
Yeah,
Did the argument happen after? Possibly. You're saying it happened before.
Again, correct me if I'm wrong, but I do not think to this point we have heard them mention the fact that she called an ex-husband's name out. That was all in rapport building and was dropped, despite the fact that to yours truly, it is the corner fucking stone of this fucking case. Not what you had in your hand when you pulled it 14 inches this way.
Did it happen after? Did it happen during?
Oh. When I break that stuff, it was right.
Why are you
Right
breaking
before
stuff?
we make sets.
Right, why?
Breaking
Why are you
stuff. You're
breaking
having
the
an argument.
stuff?
What is the argument about?
Why is there a pile of intestines under a fucking Charlotte Hornets windbreaker? Why is there a trail of blood that seems unbroken from the closet to the bathroom? Why? Why those things? What did it feel like? I don't give a fuck. Shut the fuck up, dumb detectives.
I don't know. That's what I don't know. I wish I can remember and I'm telling you. You know, I can.
See, here's the thing. In the suspect's mind, I don't remember is a foolproof plan. As a detective, what goes beyond that foolproof is postulation, pontification, hypotheticals, theoreticals, depending on where you are in the time stream of reality. If they say, I don't remember, you say things like, could it have been? Or might it be this? You don't say, okay, well, you don't remember, but do you remember the intestines in your hand? Shut up!
But see, that would. But do you understand how that would? I know, but don't you understand how that would make more sense? That if you did something during sex that may have injured her, there's a reason. You know, there'd have to be a reason. You're not just going to do it for no reason.
No.
You're not going to hurt her for no reason.
You're going to hurt her just because she's drunk?
No.
Just because you're drunk?
No.
You said you've had sex with her when you're drunk before.
Yeah.
Both of you have been drunk before.
But no, like yesterday. Yesterday we.
But you don't get it. Drunk, yes, but really, really, really drunk? Never have we gone to Applebee's and delved so deeply into their delicious strawberry margaritas, which, let's be real, again, not to belabor the point, but the first drink at a chain restaurant is going to be sugar water.
Yeah. The splash of liquor.
I'm a lightweight. I can handle what was thrown at Fidel and not murder. I can handle twice of what was thrown at Fidel and not murder, because I'd be dead. Or sleeping it off in a puddle of vomit. Seasoned drinkers, or even people like me who are pussies, can handle this shit. And it's amazing that nobody's bringing that up. All the things that make sense to me, what I would call common sense, but common sense isn't a thing, aren't being brought up because of training or the facts of this case. They may be horrified beyond belief. I don't know. It seems like every true crime case is the worst case that anyone involved has ever been involved with. Right. I can't tell you how many judges I've heard in closing arguments or through media statements that go, in my 47 years, this is the worst thing I've ever seen. I've been into true crime, let's say heavily and on YouTube with the ability to be horrified for less than 10. And I've seen more than you. And you're a judge? Yeah. Depends on where is that. I'm not saying that everybody who takes a position or a job should get really versed in all of the aspects of it. But if crime is your thing, like, thicken up that skin, Padre, because if, like, you're 87 and a couple of kids get killed and you're like, this is the most horrifying thing I've ever seen. Number one, two things. Awesome. The fact that you're an 87-year-old judge and this is the most horrifying thing you've ever seen, cool. You live in a great part of the world. And I guess the other side of that coin is too depressing to think about, so let's move on.
We were like really, really, really drunk.
I understand that.
Three reallys,
but you also
bitch.
said
Come
to us
on.
earlier that the kinkiest or the craziest thing you've done sexually was a 69.
69.
Okay,
Right.
so that's
I don't get fucking crazy until I'm really, really, really drunk. Really drunk? No murder. Really, really drunk? Some light assault. Really, really, really drunk? That's when shit goes off the rails, Back to the Future 3 style. I'm bringing it back for a third reference.
that's why we're saying something else happened here. This isn't rough sex. I have said that before.
I understand that.
Do you agree with that?
I agree with that. That's
You
not
do?
rough
Okay,
sex.
so then explain to us what it was.
You know,
What
it
was
was
it?
to me, rough sex when I was drunk. And for her, the same thing.
That is this entire interrogation in 15 seconds, right? The detective says, you've had sex when you're drunk, rough sex. It's never gotten this rough, right? It'd be crazy if you got that way, right? Yeah. I agree 100%. To then have Fidel be like, everything you just said that I said was a lie is 100% true. Can you fucking believe that shit? And stretch that out to 3 hours. And that's 3 hours of real time in interrogation. which is not real time. 3 hours of real time is already gone. We are 3 hours into this.
Right now. Yes. Currently 3 hours into a 3-hour interrogation at an hour and 17 minutes.
Somebody do the math. What is 40 minutes of footage to 3 hours of real time? The ratio is not great. So tell you what. Why don't we call it a night? I feel like we've gone past the 8 minutes, so I feel like I'm not going to let Allison Marie Armstrong, like a moth to a flame. Allison Marie Armstrong still keeps coming. Or whatever. Yeah, thanks for coming, guys. Yeah, I didn't expect to go through a whole bunch of this because hello, but I wanted to give you guys a chunk. So if this is something that you think you can handle, I recommend, take it easy, Decon. I recommend watching this because if you can fortify yourself against it, it is, I'm going to say it's beneficial because I think that no matter how you look at it, I think that what you can come away with all of this with, because to myself, I try to justify why am I watching these things because they're so long when there are so many better things you can do. This is a couple-fold. Interrogations like this really help you develop patience because no matter how many times we circle the same pattern in the bowl, you want to see if there is lateral movement forward. So we're willing to sit through, I don't know, I don't remember 400 fucking times to get to the juicy, okay, yeah, here's what happened. But also, hopefully, in addition to the patience, you'll see that I say this a lot, every niche in every ecosystem needs to be filled. If Fidel Lopez didn't sit where he does now and fill the part in the ecosystem he does, and we didn't sit here and talk about it and goof on him and shit, somebody else would fill that vacuum. No matter how horrifying the crime, on some level you have to realize that all and sundry is going to exist. So if you can take away at least the patience to deal with someone frustrating like this into real life, because it does work. If you can sit through 3 hours of Fidel Lopez, you can sit through 15 minutes of an annoying coworker. Right. And that's a legitimate skill that you can use in real life. Like that's an IRL shit that you can take away. But on top of that, if you can ice that cake with the idea that things that we consider are bad or reprehensible are out there and will always exist, and there's nothing you can do about it. Sure, when you look at it, you can feel bad. You can think, I need to fix this or whatever. The altruism in you can be lit and those fires can be stoked. But hopefully you can see that everybody in this web is integral. Whether they're good or bad, if there's a spot for them, they're going to fill it. And it's up to you or I to do what we do. Like if you're me, you're going to goof on them and try and bring an understanding and a humanity to these people. Or if you're like Decon, my buddy over there, you're going to wallow in the darkness because it's tantalizing. Yeah. Horror is tantalizing. It's as tantalizing as comedy because it's an unexpected punchline. That's what people love about crime. It's like, you wouldn't expect in a neighborhood like this, blah, 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 blah. That's the same structure as a joke. You're set up with things being mundane when the rug is pulled out from under you. If a crackhead is gunned down by a dealer in a crack house, we go, whoa, no drama. Who knew? Holy shit. But when it's like a perfect family or this or that, that's when we go, whoa. But regardless, it's all innate. It's how you look at it. And so I don't want you coming away from any of these being like, yeah, reality's horrifying, because you can flip that coin and end up like that. Yeah, there are bad guys out there and there's terrible shit out there, but proportionally super low. The ratio is super low. And the beauty of it is people like you or me who will never have to walk through that, you know, here's what I'll liken it to. You, the gentle viewer, are Dante Alighieri in this situation, and I and Krista are your Virgil. The footage we watch is hell. Our job, Krista and mine, is to usher you, Dante, through these horrifying sights. And yes, the suffering is real. Everything about it is awful. But you and I are safely on the path, protected by the reality of the situation. The Inferno is an awesome read because you know Virgil and Dante are in no danger, but they get to interact with all of these zany sights. The wind, the lava, the boiling blood, the frozen lake, the flapping wings, the demons and the pitchforks. You and I, gentle viewer, get to walk through this and by the grace of God, come out the other side. Right? So it's not all bad. No matter how bad it gets, no matter how horrifying the suffering, whether it's the gluttons, the heretics, the false prophets, whoever, at the end of the day, you and I get to go, whew, that ain't me. No matter how bone-crushing your job in that cubicle is, when you leave, you leave. It's just in that cubicle, you don't have a Virgil like me to get you through it. And I want you to hammer that home. Yeah, terrible things happen. But statistically, you are going to live a good life. And I hope that. I legitimately hope that for you because there's such a small sliver of reality that is corrupt, especially in a first world country. And I hope you get to experience that someday. But whatever. Moral of the story is we're all spread out. I want you to know things aren't as bad. I'm here to walk you through it. But if something bad does happen to you or I, it'll be something to benefit somebody else. There's always a silver lining to every cloud. We can't change the past. Horrific acts have happened. You can wallow in it. You can pretend it didn't exist, or you can learn from it and hopefully make, I don't want to say light, but merry, because it's a horrible thing that happened. But if you can't see the intrinsic comedy in horror and vice versa, you're doing yourself a disservice as a human being. But enough of my proselytizing and soapboxing. Tell you what, let's wrap it up in 2 days' time. So not tomorrow, but the next day. We've got baked salmon coming on this show, and we're going over the delicious Maurice Wolin footage. The entirety of his interaction with the detective in the Winnebago. I've not watched all of it. I want to keep it a surprise mostly. I've watched about half of it. Baked Salmon has kept most of it a surprise. So you and I are going to be going on a ride. This isn't like, I am not Virgil the cast member with the thing who has been trained to point with all four fingers. We're going to be in the thick of it together because sometimes you want to be surprised. And I don't want to be the guy who's constantly stopping things to be like, hey, possibly in 10 minutes, this will happen. But whatever. So that's it. Thank you so much for showing up. If you did, I appreciate it. If you're showing up in the future, give me some feedback in your, your typing square area, the comments. It's a great shitty novel. You guys always bring different, and that's why I love it. You guys always bring different points of view that I would go like, whoa, like I would never thought of that. And obviously, because your inner monologue thinks it covers all the bases. But like when I brought up the thumbnail swapping issue, there was a side of it I didn't even consider, because I was just going like, okay, the cynic in me goes, this feels scummy because here we are, like, whatever, society, am I right? Technically a poem. Like Gilgamesh, an epic poem, or not Gilgamesh, that wasn't a poem. Beowulf was a poem. The Odyssey, also a poem. Yeah, no, the Aeneid and the Aeneid, written by Virgil about Rome. But yeah, the Divine Comedy, I'm your Virgil, but in this scenario, anyone can be a Virgil. If you take the hand of somebody lesser than in knowledge or experience, you're their Virgil. I'm more than happy to play the role of Dante. But the metaphors are getting lost, and I'm 3 sheets to the wind, so let's call it. Good night, everybody. Thank you so much. We'll see you in 2 days' time for another show. And then after that, we've got more coming, so keep it locked in on this channel. Never turn off your YouTube. See you later.
Or they try to.
Fistful of Podcasts Radio.